Chapter 1449, Run Into. Chapter 1449, Run Into _ Boom, boom, boom. The fantasy boundary stone shattered. It twisted and blasted into pieces. The sharp space sabers jutted out. The five men had only first sky of a mortal realm. When the space exploded, their bodies shattered into hundreds of pieces. Their soul altars were like broken glass. The woman called Xiang Rong had the second sky of immortal realm cultivation base. She had congregated all of her power to her soul altar to protect it. After her body exploded, her soul altar flew out. Xiang Rong's host soul floated above the soul altar. She looked at Shi Yin and was with fear. She saw Shi Yin release a black hole and take in the wisps of soul from Old Gu and the others. She was scared out of her wits. Shi Yin cried and looked at Xiang Rong's soul altar. I can't believe that you were able to keep your soul altar after the fantasy boundary stone shattered. Tisk, it's true that a higher realm can make some difference. Xiang Rong was horror-struck. She looked at Shi Yin and didn't know what to say. How did you verify our identities? Intervened Meiji. If I tell you the truth, will you spare my life? Xiang Rong's soul flashed. If you agree to let me live, I will tell you everything. Live. Meiji smiled in surprise. You ask him? Xiang Rong's eyes were begging as she turned to Shi Yin. Spare my life, and I will tell you everything I know. It's not that complicated. Shi Yin frowned and said coldly, after I swallow your soul altar, I can extract your memories. It just takes a bit of effort. From the day you came to the seabed, you should have thought about today. Don't blame me for being cruel. Then, he didn't give Xiang Rong more time to beg. The devouring power Upanishad moved and sucked Xiang Rong's soul altar. This area was a distance from the besiege over there. No troops were patrolling here. Countless tufts of algae were swaying with the water current, which looked like scattered cotton that provided places to hide. Shi Yin and Meiji were inside a big cluster of algae. This kind of algae was so magical that it was able to cut off the sensitive soul somehow. After Xiang Rong's soul altar was taken in, Shi Yin immediately sat down cross-legged and retrieved the black hole into the tier of power Upanishad. He used the soul consciousness to search her memories. He could only apply this method to extract the memories from a complete soul altar that he had taken. It was going to be very hard to extract memories from a shattered soul altar like Old Gu's. The soul fragments were countless broken memory seals. It was almost impossible to recover them. Thus, he wasn't going to waste his energy on Old Gu's and the others. Countless wisps of memories shot out of the black hole like electric beams. Sharp images flashed in Shi Yin's head. It's a small piece of the Power Upanishad symbol tower. It's unknown where the potion and tool league had gotten it. That piece of Power Upanishad symbol tower could find the complete Power Upanishad symbol tower. After I took the Power Upanishad symbol tower out of my incipient extent, it proactively came and merged with the tower. Shi Yin squinted as he was reading the memories and explaining them to Meiji at the same time. It's strange. After that piece of jade got into the Power Upanishad symbol tower, some unclear absolute beginning symbols had also come to my brain. Shi Yin opened his eyes and pointed at his head. I don't know if this Power Upanishad symbol tower now has a relationship with the devouring Power Upanishad after I have taken it. It can gather the other pieces of the Power Upanishad symbol tower. I can feel some vague change anyway. Is it possible? Meiji looked surprised. It's just my guess. Shi Yin chuckled, squinting and searching the memories related to the Potion and Tool League from Xiang Rong's soul. The Potion and Tool League was a human force with a long history. Each elder of the Potion and Tool League had mastered refining and blacksmithing techniques. They had battleships that were essentially moving cities that could visit big territories to find rare materials for blacksmithing or making medicines. The elders of Potion and Tool League refined pellets and forged tools to exchange for techniques, medical books, and secret treasures. That's how they advanced their cultivation. A strange piece of a memory caught Shi Yin's attention. It was related to an expert. In the long history of Potion and Tool League, there used to be an excellent blacksmith who was rumored to have grasped the marvelous technique to refine absolute beginning divine weapons. That man had consumed a lot of rare and precious materials of Potion and Tool League to refine a half-complete divine weapon. Everybody in Potion and Tool League feared for him. The peerless attainment in blacksmithing of that blacksmith had thrilled the 7 clans. To have him, the 7 clans had sent their hotshots to the Potion and Tool League to invite him. The Soul Clan had abducted him in the end. On the way, the mysterious Sky Clan came and vied for that man with the Soul Clan. They engaged in furious combat, and the man took that chance to flee away. He disappeared from the sea domain of nihility since then. Rumors said that he had the treasured book of the Potion and Tool League, which was written in special symbols that used to refine or forge tools. The Potion and Tool League gave him the treasured book to record his experience in forging the absolute beginning divine weapon. Shi Yin extracted and observed Xiangrong's memories. He was moved, his eyes sparkling in a strange light. Was he the founder of Potion and Tool Pavilion in Agate Star area? The first pavilion master who had built the entire Potion and Tool Pavilion? Was the cannon, an important item to certify the pavilion master of Potion and Tool Pavilion in Agate Star area, the treasured book that the Potion and Tool League had mentioned? That book had the records of refining an absolute beginning divine weapon. Shi Yin was surprised. He felt uncertain. After he had gone to the sea domain of nihility, he knew how precious absolute beginning divine weapons were. If someone could refine an absolute beginning divine weapon, of course, many clans and forces were going to vie for him. The cannon was in Fu Wei's hands. She was the current pavilion master of the Potion and Tool Pavilion with outstanding refining attainment. Was it predestined? Shi Yin didn't know whether he should cry or smile. Potion and Tool Pavilion, Potion and Tool League, and the refining treasured book. Am I the tie that is connecting them all? If not, why was I able to encounter them? What did you say? Asked Meiji. The Potion and Tool League used to have a blacksmith who could refine a half-complete absolute beginning divine weapon. Do your Phantom Clan have any records about him? Asked Shi Yin. Yeah, there was a man like that. He was a genius who had dedicated his entire life to forging tools. It was a long, long time ago. He had refined a half-complete absolute beginning divine weapon. It was thrilling news to the 7 clans. Because of him, the Soul Clan and the mysterious Sky Clan fought a furious battle. Many experts were killed back then. That battle was the ignition to the long-time war between the Soul Clan and the mysterious. Unfortunately, that expert had disappeared. After so many years, he must be gone. No one knows if his records exist or not. Why do you ask? Meiji was surprised. Shi Yin smiled and didn't answer. He had decided to talk to Fu Wei about this once he got back to desolate territory. 3 shadows were gliding through the seabed. All of a sudden, one of them halted and frowned. Her eyes were filled with joy. I spotted the aura of the fantasy boundary stone. Forefather Dragon Lizard's clone was surprised. Why do you care about the fantasy boundary stone? However, Tu Shi knew the situation. He looked cheered up. Are you sure it's the fantasy boundary stone that you gave him? Of course. Ye Yun was certain. I'd kept those fantasy boundary stone for years. I'm sure I can feel their auras. I'm sure it's the fantasy boundary stone that I gave away. Oh, the shockwaves of the explosion came from that area. Her finger pointed to a direction. Shi Yin should be there. Tu Shi pulled a stern face and took a deep breath. We're heading there. It seems like we'll get the result after searching for a long time. If it's true, I'm not sure if we can hold them back. You guys have to prepare, Dragon Lizard pondered. Gonfu of the Devouring Clan was killed. It means that they have an expert in their team. My real body can't come here. If that expert is with them, we'll hardly be able to defeat them. Should we release the news to attract more people? Tu Shi hesitated. If so, they will all be killed, no doubt. You should remember that you've agreed with me to give them a chance to choose. Dragon Lizard wore a grimace. Then we should go there directly, Tu Shi sighed. Then, they moved at their max speed. Dash. Ahem. Do you need me to help you deal with the backfire of the devouring power Upanishad? Deep inside the field of algae, Meiji was embarrassed as she asked. Her watery eyes were filled with a shy passion. Shi Yin was using the devouring power Upanishad to swallow and refine Xiangrong's team's essence chi. He was bewildered for a while as he said, "No one in this group of 6 has dark energy. I won't be backfired by negative energy." Ah, okay. Never mind. Meiji felt so awkward, her face blushing. She scolded Shi Yin for not understanding the romantic signals. She felt her teeth get itchy too. Shi Yin could see her charming, sexy gestures. He understood it immediately. "But if you help me, I won't need to distract my mind just to deal with those negative energy. Directly releasing is the most comfortable way to me. Come, sit on my lap," he grinned and said deliberately. Meiji was both happy and shy when he said that. She suppressed her excitement as she said seriously, "Forget it. You can deal with it yourself. I won't help you. Come here as you're told." Shi Yin grinned inwardly as he pulled a stern face. "You should know that I like obedient women." Meiji thinned her lips as she said, "All right." She actually felt so happy when she moved towards him. Right at this moment, Shi Yin's face darkened as he jolted up. As Meiji was bewildered, he hissed, "Come, old friends, long time no see. Your sensitivity has gotten much better. I can't believe that this kid at incipient God Realm from that year now became a big character that the 5 clans are crazy for." Dragon Lizard smiled and glided through tufts of algae. Chapter 1450, Deny Flatly. Chapter 1450, Deny Flatly _ Forefather Dragon Lizard. Meiji discolored slightly. An ice crystal emerged from her body. The cold energy had chilled down the entire sea area. Forefather Dragon Lizard was at the peak of a mortal realm. He just needed one more step to enter the territory ancestor realm. As the direct line children of Lizard, the absolute beginning creature, Dragon Lizard had many supernatural powers of the absolute beginning creatures. As they were both at the peak of a mortal realm, if they fought with their lives, Meiji wasn't sure if she could win. Of course, she didn't know that Forefather Dragon Lizard's real body wasn't here. Thus, she looked like she was facing her archenemy. And us, here, Tu Shi sighed and held Ye Yun's hands, appearing in front of Shi Yin with complicated faces. "What are you here for?" Shi Yin was calm and natural. "For the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower?" While talking, Shi Yin and Meiji had transformed back to their real appearances. Masha and Adam's disguise could deceive the others, but they couldn't fool Dragon Lizard, Tu Shi, and Ye Yun. They had met Adams and Masha, so they knew that Adams and Mash wouldn't be in the Sea of Annihilation. Not only because of the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower, Ye Yun forced a smile. Ling Mei was dead. We have to give Forefather Han Tian an answer. She was his granddaughter. Although Forefather is cultivating in seclusion, we're in the Sea of Annihilation. If we don't do anything, we won't be able to see him later. We know each other. I don't want to be your enemy. I just have a question. How did Ling Mei die? Asked Tu Shi begrudgingly. Meiji opened her mouth. I killed her. Shi Yin intervened. Ling Mei wanted to kill me and rob the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower. Should I wait for her to kill me? I'm not evil. She provoked me. I killed her. What else do I need to say? Meiji was surprised. Her bright eyes flared with a strange light. She killed Ling Mei, and she was about to admit that. Unexpectedly, Shi Yin admitted the crime instead of her. She couldn't explain why he did that. Don't joke about this. Forefather Dragon Lizard laughed strangely and shook his head disbelievingly. Kid, you're at first sky of a mortal realm? You think you can kill Ling Mei? Although I had never met Ling Mei before, I know it's not easy to murder an expert at the peak of a mortal realm. He tried to give Shi Yin a way out. It wasn't just you two, right? Tu Shi agreed with Dragon Lizard. Gan Fu of the Devouring Clan was confirmed dead. Experts with dark energy aren't something you two can deal with. Tu Shi's eyes sparkled. He observed and asked, where are they? He was right. He knew that other people had joined this besides Shi Yin and Meiji. However, they didn't expect that Shi Yin had parted with the Godlord and others. They aren't here. I killed Ling Mei. It's true, whether you believe it or not. Shi Yin was stiff, his face dark. When you came to the seabed, we weren't friends anymore. Don't babble. What do you want from me? Of course, Tu Shi and Ye Yun came to the deep seabed not only just to confirm Ling Mei's death. They also bore something else. Yin knew he had no way to subside this. He had his own calculations. Thus, he didn't need to pretend to befriend them. I agreed with Brother Dragon Lizard that as long as you give us a clear answer and bring the Power Upanishad symbol tower to join our mysterious Sky Clan, we will explain everything with Forefather Han Tian. We can ensure that you will be safe and sound, said Tu Shi with a stern face as he pounded his chest affirmatively. Don't worry. You will be a non-native officer of our mysterious Sky Clan. You will receive more benefits, and it will be much better than cultivating alone. It's true. Even if you have the Power Upanishad symbol tower, you can't refine the absolute beginning original symbol by yourself, Yi Yun advised him. Moreover, the 5 clans are searching for you. You can't escape. If we can find you, the others can too. As long as you agree to join our mysterious Sky Clan, we will ask our seniors to deal with the Black Demon Clan, the Devouring Clan, the Soul Clan, and the Ancient Monster Clan about your murder cases. Kid, although the sea domain of Nihility is a massive area, you've offended the 5 clans. You won't find a safe place to go to. Their offers aren't bad. Go with them, said Forefather Dragon Lizard. Yin frowned, her face indifferent. What if I don't agree? Dragon Lizard shrugged and said begrudgingly, then don't blame me. I've agreed with the mysterious Sky Clan. I will join Tu Shi to deal with you. How about you two? Yin squinted. To have a proper answer to Forefather Han Tian, we can only try our best to deal with you and take the Power Upanishad symbol tower. Of course, we won't kill you. We will only capture you. Then, we will let the 5 clans judge you, said Tu Shi. Then come here, Yin said in a low-pitched voice. What? Forefather was shocked. Come catch me. Yin eyes turned crimson quickly. Sharp spikes protruded from his skin. A pair of bone wings jutted out of his back. He had transformed into his fighting mode in just a blink of an eye. Life energy surged in every inch of his skin and bones. The thick, murderous aura came out of his acupuncture points and shot a visible blood-red light column into the sky. The massive energy field could cut apart even the water and create a vacuum area around him. What a powerful life energy magnetic field, shouted Forefather Dragon Lizard, his face frightened. The fiercer the life energy field was, the higher the life form he reached. Yin had transformed to his supreme fighting form, and the life energy from his body had almost reached Forefather Dragon Lizard's level. Dragon Lizard's real body could be as big as a small life star. Yin's body was so small, but it contained an intimidating life magnetic field, which meant that his life form had evolved to a level high enough to shake Dragon Lizard. Kid, you're a freak. When I met you, your life energy field was thin and weak. Now, you've reached such a new height. It's amazing, really. Aside from him, Tu Shi and Meiji were also shaken. Meiji knew that Yin got a great benefit after they had sex, but they hadn't undergone a fierce battle afterward. Thus, he hadn't used his fighting form. She couldn't know how advanced his life form was. But now, she knew that Yin's life energy magnetic field could compare to the experts who were about to enter the territory ancestor realm. Really powerful indeed. Tu Shi looked bitter. Sigh, that little girling May didn't listen to us. It's really bad. It would have been so good now if she didn't have a dispute with you guys. Right now, even though we know you're really bold, we have to take action. We're the members of the mysterious Sky Clan anyway. I'm sorry. It's not our own volition, sighed Yi Yun. You don't need to take action, Meiji beamed. Although your life magnetic field is abundant, you're at only first sky of a mortal realm. I can handle them single-handedly. Fulgent snow lotuses bloomed from her chest. They were glowing in a mesmerizing white halo. Each lotus was chilly to the bone. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. So many snow lotuses flew out one by one from her ample bosom. They moved like an icy world and attacked Tu Shi, Yi Yun, and Forefather Dragon Lizard. At the beginning, Dragon Lizard, Tu Shi, and Yi Yun disdained her because they knew that Meiji had been badly wounded. When a peak of a mortal realm expert got wounded, it was tough to recover quickly. Thus, they weren't worried about her. However, when so many snow lotuses came to them and released cold energy, they knew that they were wrong. At this moment, Meiji was much more intimidating than when she was on Dragon Lizard Star. At that time, Meiji could subdue Tu Shi and his wife by herself. Today, Meiji's wounds healed and she had dark energy. Shi Yan's vitality had refined her body too. She was now in her supreme condition. Meiji's face appeared in each lotus with different expressions. She was either smiling, winking, wincing, or staying calm. They were the powers of her soul. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Cold, murky jets of terrifying energy shot through the water like icicles, stabbing the other three. Even Forefather Dragon Lizard went numb. It looked like he had surging lava in his eyes. Letting out a low roar, his clone released a phantom of his real body. A majestic, mountain-like beast emerged and roared at Meiji's face. If Shi Yan hadn't bothered me with his world-within-world fantasy boundary stones when we were on Dragon Lizard Star, I'm afraid that you would have been killed. As you have only third sky of a mortal realm, you're as strong as Ling Mei. Ling Mei died by my hands. What do you think you can do? Meiji smiled, her eyes as cold as ice. Countless snow lotuses fell. Tu Shi and Ye Yun felt extremely cold, their faces heavy. Melt. Forefather Dragon Lizard hissed and roared. The phantom of a giant beast became so hot as it was burning. It struggled on the seabed and used its big claws to hit the snow lotuses. It's useless. Meiji changed her techniques gently. So many snow lotuses released a cold light. They weren't afraid of the beast as if they were immortal flowers. If your real body is here, I'm not sure if I can't cope with you. But now, you're just a clone. You can't trouble me that much. Peak of Glacier. Meiji pitched her voice. An ice mountain was conjured, and it fell on the back of the giant beast. The beast was subdued and frozen. It couldn't even move to attack her further. Crack. Shi Yan raised one finger. 5 meteor-like arrows shot and destroyed Forefather Dragon Lizard's phantom. Dragon Lizard shivered and couldn't help but scream in agony. Let's go. Shi Yan didn't attack more and called for Meiji. Meiji was surprised, but she didn't say much. She nodded to him and retrieved the snow lotuses. They left quickly. Forefather Dragon Lizard and Tu Shi grimaced. They hovered but didn't chase after the others. Why did we have to leave? Asked Meiji skeptically after they had left for a while. You and I could kill them, couldn't we? Big commotions could draw really powerful experts. Moreover, Forefather Dragon Lizard hasn't used his best powers yet. If he decides to destroy this clone to battle us, we can still get hurt even if we win. In this area, when we get hurt, we will have no chance to run or hide, Shi Yan answered her calmly. Meiji contemplated and then nodded. You're right. It's not our objective to kill many people. Our goal is to survive. Chapter 1451, Hiro. Chapter 1451, Hiro, _ Deep inside an algae field, Forefather Dragon Lizard, Tu Shi, and Ye Yun stayed idle, their faces stiff and blank. After a long time, Forefather Dragon Lizard said bitterly, That kid, why is he with Meiji? I remembered that Meiji had chased after him to kill him. She didn't hesitate to drain her power to do that. And now, did you see that they were sticking together like a couple? Meiji listened to everything he told her. It's strange. Tu Shi didn't understand, either. Only the ghosts know how he could do that. Meiji has approached him and protected him for the Power Upanishad symbol tower on purpose. Maybe? Guessed Ye Yun. Listening to him, Forefather Dragon Lizard and Tu Shi nodded. They thought that sounded more probable. What should we do now? Forefather Dragon Lizard looked begrudgingly. My body isn't here yet. Meiji's wounds recovered. She's tougher to deal with now. If we risk our lives with her, I think we will lose at the end. Wait until the hotshots come, sighed Ye Yun. The hotshots won't come for the time being. Even if they come, they will be late. It's really hard to solve this now. Tu Shi pondered for a while and then decided, we can only release information. What if we only benefit the others? The old freak of the Soul Clan is in the Sea of Annihilation now. Whenever he gets news, he responds quickly. If he gets the Power Upanishad symbol tower, our efforts will have been for nothing. Ye Yun shook her head. I have a good relationship with a friend from the Whitebone clan. Recently, they're trying hard to find the experts with life power Upanishad. He asked me to pay attention. Sure Yin mastered the life power Upanishad, and it's possible that the absolute beginning original symbol he got from the power Upanishad symbol tower is a life original symbol. Tu Sure Chi's eyes brightened. You're right. The absolute beginning original symbol he has is a life original symbol. I'm certain about this. Forefather Dragon Lizard nodded. This time, the life energy magnetic field from him is too thick. It's unimaginable, though. Except for the power of the absolute beginning original symbol, I can't think of anything else. Then I will contact my friend from the Whitebone clan. Let's see if they're interested in this. Tu Sure Chi made up his mind. It was an island in the Sea of Annihilation, which was filled with white bones. Those bones came from members of different races. They were white and had surging energy. It was the base of the Whitebone clan in the Sea of Annihilation. Lately, a Skull Island had come and anchored here. A child of the Whitebone clan had landed on this bone island. He spoke the oldest language of the Whitebone clan. His appearance had shaken the entire Whitebone clan. He brought with him his parents, the two dormant, territory ancestor realm experts. The entire Bone Island was in high spirits because of the little skeleton. It had received the warmest welcome here too. The Skull Island had merged with the Bone Island and become a part of it. The members of the Whitebone clan brought the two precursors to their bone burial pond deep inside the Bone Island. They had tried all the secret techniques to wake them up. However, as the two had spent all of their vitality and left only a wisp of the feeble soul, the bone burial pond couldn't wake their consciousness up. The members of the Whitebone clan quickly recognized that they needed to pour vitality into them in order to wake them up. Thus, they began to find the warriors with a strong life power Upanishad. They had promised generous rewards to find more experts. However, they weren't lucky because there weren't many warriors cultivating life power Upanishad, let alone ones with high realms. After a long time, only around 10 warriors had come. However, the highest realm of them was only at original God realm. The support from them was just an added grain of salt in the sea. The little skeleton's parents needed a lot more to be awakened. Because of the two dormant precursors at the territory ancestor realm came to the island, all the Whitebone clan's efforts were gathered here. Thus, they didn't really care about the power Upanishad symbol tower under the sea. They didn't send any member to go and explore the seabed. The bone burial pond in the center of the Bone Island was covered with jades. The little skeleton was sitting by the pond and watching the two coffins, his eyes upset. Child, don't grieve too much. I'm sure we can wake them up, said an old man of the Whitebone clan in their special language. The true expert of our clan will come soon. They will know how. The little skeleton nodded quietly. One day, while the little skeleton was sitting still, a white light came from the sky. A massive Skull Island emerged in his vision and anchored by the island. Many strong warriors of the Whitebone clan appeared on the island. They were following a midget, old man who slowly laned from the sky. The Whitebone clan members on the Bone Island kneeled down to welcome them cheerfully. The old man from the Whitebone clan who had just arrived was about 1 meter tall. He wasn't even taller than the little skeleton. He was holding a strange bone staff, which made him look like he had 3 legs. As soon as he landed, his eyes twinkled. He went to the little skeleton and raised his jade-like bony hand to stroke the little skeleton. He mumbled, "Good lumber. Beautiful jade. You're their kid indeed. I can't believe they finally reappeared." "You know my parents?" asked the little skeleton in the Whitebone clan's language. The old man looked at him lovingly. "Of course. They are my precursor. As you're their child, you're from the same generation as me." Then, he took the little skeleton to the pond where the 2 coffins were laying. He stooped to see and said, "They need an enormous amount of vitality to wake up. If I cultivated life power Upanishad, I could have awakened them. Too bad that I don't." He turned to the crowd next to him. "It has been a long time. Is there anyone with a strong power Upanishad?" "No." They shook their heads. The old man looked disappointed. "We'll wait here for a while. Afterward, I will take them back to our clan. We will get more people to think about a solution." The old man stayed on the Bone Island and taught the little skeleton a lot of common knowledge, secrets and marvels of power Upanishads, and dark energy. This old man was one of the territory ancestor realm experts of the White Bone clan. He was also a famous expert in this vast sea of stars. With his teaching, the little skeleton gradually learned about the White Bone clan, the sea domain of nihility. He advanced his cultivation of power Upanishads. A secret bone pond inside the Bone Island was activated. They then melted many strange and rare materials that they had collected in the pond to refine the little skeleton's bone body, directed by the old man. Streams of ivory fluid seeped into the little skeleton. His white bone became more transparent and sparkly with brilliant starlight. If you want to see dark energy, your life magnetic field must have evolved sufficiently. You have to quench your body first. The body that your parent had gifted you is very fine. You're the luckiest in our clan's history. With this bone pond, you will thrive faster. The old man was sitting by the pond and watching the streams of fluid running into the pond. The little skeleton was using its star power to absorb it while listening to the old man's patient explanation. "Tribal oldie, I have something to report," asked a member of the White Bone clan from a far distance. After he was permitted, he stepped forward and said, "Tu Shirchi of the mysterious Sky Clan has contacted me. He said that he found the one who the 5 clans wanted undersea. That man cultivates life power Upanishad, and he has the life original symbol from the power Upanishad symbol tower. That man is called Yin. Tu Shirchi couldn't capture him. As he knows you're here, he asked us if we're interested in this." Yin? The little skeleton was cultivating in the pond. His eyes brightened. "He's the one I told you about. He got me back here, and he told me that he would help me wake up my parents." "Are you sure it's him?" The old man's eyes were like a monstrous, burning flame. "It's him. I heard the woman call him that." "That woman is called Meiji," said the little skeleton. The old man looked at the reporter. The other nodded continuously. "Yeah, it's Meiji from the Phantom clan. They are going with each other. He cultivates life power Upanishad, and he happened to get the absolute beginning original symbol of life power Upanishad. He had even brought you back here. It's predestined." The old man nodded. "Tell Tu Shirchi that we're interested. Tell him I will go to the seabed myself. He just needs to tell me the directions." "I understand." The reporter walked out respectfully. "He helped me earlier. I want him to live a long life," said the little skeleton. The old man was calm. "Showing gratitude is our White Bone clan's pretty values. We won't do despicable things. I will bring him here. After I find him, he'll be fine." "Thank you," regarded the little skeleton. "You're my cousin. I am Hiro. After you were born, my uncle and aunt went dormant. They haven't named you yet. We're not hurried. After they wake up, they will name you," Hiro said seriously. "You're my little cousin, my closet family. Our White Bone clan doesn't have many members. We must stay close to each other. Family members won't compete against each other. It's the reason why we have the smallest population, but we can stand proudly in this sea domain of nihility." "I understand," replied the little skeleton. "All right, you stay here and cultivate. I'm going to the seabed to get him." Hiro stood up. He was even shorter than the little skeleton, but his aura had made the members of the White Bone clan admire him a lot. "Cousin, please be careful," said the little skeleton all of a sudden. "Don't worry. In this sea of annihilation, I don't have a rival right now," Hiro said arrogantly. He left the Bone Island and dove into the sea of annihilation seabed alone. Tu Shirchi, Yun, and Forefather Dragon Lizard were deep in an algae field. Tu Shirchi was holding a rock in his hand and sensing. Yun and Forefather Dragon Lizard were watching him. They knew that he was communicating with a member of the White Bone clan. They were waiting with the hope that the White Bone clan would send some expert to help them. Hiro decided to come personally. After a while, Tu Shirchi announced, his face excited. "Hiro?" Forefather Dragon Lizard was perplexed. "Is it the Hiro, one of the 10 great territory ancestors?" "It's him." Tu Shirchi nodded certainly. "It's bustling this time. Emperor Sea Star, Neptune, and Feral have come. Today, Hiro decided to come too. Interesting." Forefather Dragon Lizard looked excited. I have longed for the battle between the territory ancestors. Perhaps I can watch them to learn dark energy. Chapter 1452, Emperor Sea Shark. Chapter 1452, Emperor Sea Shark Undersea. Deep in the blue sea, a majestic glass palace the size of a small kingdom was moving on the seabed like a giant fish. This palace had so many crystal towers with piles of jades, corals, and precious gemstones. It was indeed grand and luxurious. Several thousand warriors of the Sea Clan were staying inside that crystal palace. They all had strange figures in relatively high realms with cold and calm auras. The entire glass palace was like an island made of 10 high towers. The central hall was hundreds of meters tall. Atop the conical tower, Emperor Sea Shark squinted, his face serene. A Sea Clan warrior kneeled behind him and reported in a low voice, "3 more crews have disappeared mysteriously. They were close to us." Emperor Sea Shark closed his eyes. After pondering for a while, he rose one finger. A water current created an arrow and pointed in a direction. So many shadows glowed dimly. Our men died right where those shadows are. From when they disappeared, we could guess which way their killer went. The warrior's eyes brightened. From what we observed, they're pretty close by. Emperor Sea Shark nodded. A strange light sparkled in his eyes. Countless wisps of energy that were like a tsunami rippled from his body. The grand palace slowly ceased. His energy covered the entire palace and made it invisible. We shall wait for them. Deep inside a sea area, the bodies of the 5 dead Sea Clan warriors were buried. Their vitality and aura vanished. Shi Yin wore a calm face and sat cross-legged. By him, Meiji was like an ice sculpture of a goddess with ice covering her entirely. The transparent ice made her beautiful in a different way. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of something freezing arose. From Meiji, the seawater was slowly freezing. In 10 breaths, she created a glacier and hit her body. Flows of cold energy expanded from the glacier and the seawater became very cold. Inside the glacier, Meiji's breathing was long and her eyebrows were transparent like the ice. She was wearing a long, bright silver dress, which outlined her curves. In the extremely cold energy, she looked refreshed. After a while, the glacier melted. She got out of the ice, her eyes bright and joyful. Her god power had become more refined and abundant. Because of the dark energy's existence, she was getting closer to the territory ancestor realm every day. Today, she tried to transform her incipient extent to the territory, which was going to become her foundation to enter the territory ancestor realm. After parting with Forefather Dragon Lizard and 2 Shi, she and Shi Yin had moved fiercely and killed all the warriors in their way. Every time after they killed the warriors, Shi Yin had used the devouring power Upanishad to absorb and share pure energy with her. While her god power, soul, and body were advancing, she also changed to enjoy an indescribable pleasure of intimacy. She got used to, and she thought she was sinking as she began to enjoy this erotic and yet dangerous adventure. Her power had been increasing every day. Every time she felt sweet, Shi Yin's image got carved more deeply into her soul and heart. She looked at Shi Yin with sincere feelings in her bright eyes. She was confident that she could compete with territory ancestor realm experts. Even if Batum had come back from death, she was confident that she would defeat him. She didn't know how strong Shi Yin was now. However, she knew that he was indeed intimidating because more than anyone, she understood the great benefits that the devouring power Upanishad had brought him. She also knew that Shi Yin always used the energy refined by the devouring power Upanishad to quench his body. As he felt her watching, Shi Yin opened his eyes and chuckled. "How do you feel?" "Couldn't have been better," smiled Meiji. "How about you? When can you reach second sky of Immortal Realm?" "It's not far. I just need to understand my power Upanishads better. Whenever I meditate, I can feel the subtle but magical change of my power Upanishads." Shi Yin contemplated. "I can't rush. The accumulation of body, soul, and God power also benefits me a lot. At our current speed, we're around 1 year from the territory entrance. I know it will be pretty tough later. I don't want to finish this trip Meiji walked forward and pulled his hand while pressing her voluptuous body against his. This trip has been the most beautiful experience in my entire life. Even if I die, I won't regret it. Yin didn't say more. He turned around and pulled her into his tight embrace. In this deep blue sea, they looked at each other, smiled, and continued their journey. I don't know why I can't ease my restless mind after we entered this sea area. I feel bound as if I've been caged. Today, Yin said with a dark face while moving inside his starlight protection. They were very far from their first stop. Yin had released his soul consciousness to sense around. He didn't find any commotion or aura of living beings. Logically, they had pierced through a dangerous zone. However, after a while of strange calmness and quietness, Yin felt that something wasn't right. We didn't find any warrior along the way. It's not normal. Meiji wore a serene face when he said that. Yeah, it has been strangely smooth lately. I always feel like something is wrong, Yin frowned, but I can't tell why. I don't know what's the matter. Anyway, we have to be more cautious. Okay. Several days later, they came to a beautiful area where so many magnificent jellyfish looked like 5 colored lanterns shining above their heads. The lights from them were so mesmerizing. As they were moving under the jellyfish, the dreamy scene above their heads had captured their minds for a while. However, shortly after, Yin discolored and said, "Those jellyfish have weak soul energy fluctuations. They're possibly the eyes that some expert released." Meiji was surprised. She knew that it wasn't going well. If so, we're disclosed. We have to leave as fast as we can. Yin didn't say much and brought Meiji at the max speed toward the territory entrance. However, after 100 miles, his light cage bounced back as if it had bumped into an invisible barrier. Yin and Meiji were frightened. They knew that their assumption was correct. Unknowingly, they had entered a trap that someone had set up for them. Right behind them, a grand crystal palace slowly emerged with countless cold-faced Sea Clan warriors. An old Sea Clan expert was standing on the highest tower of the palace in the center. He looked at them from a far distance and said deliberately, "We've been waiting for you for a long time, Emperor Sea Shark." Meiji couldn't help but scream. "You guys have killed more than 10 of my crews. By the time they were killed, I figured out your route. We've been hiding here and waiting for you for a long time. Yeah, after 10 days, you finally showed up. You didn't fail me indeed." Emperor Sea Shark pitched his voice. "Meiji, I know you. I don't want to provoke your Phantom Clan. I'm going to make my request clear right now." "Say it." Meiji's expression was extremely stern. "I've talked to Neptune and made a deal with him. Anyway, because of you, Meiji, I will give you away." Emperor Sea Shark's voice was cold and nonchalant. "You tell him to hand over the Power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol. I will let you go as if I have never seen you. It's the best deal I can give you." Emperor Sea Shark had agreed with Neptune that if he found Yin and Meiji, he would tell Neptune first. However, Emperor Sea Shark had his own plans. According to Neptune, once he told him Yin and Meiji's whereabouts, they wouldn't be able to escape death and he wouldn't be able to get the Power Upanishad symbol tower and absolute beginning original symbol either. Neptune would take them all. Neptune had promised Emperor Sea Shark to refine him an absolute beginning original symbol first. Anyway, Emperor Sea Shark knew there was a better option. Taking the Power Upanishad symbol tower and absolute beginning original symbol without offending the Phantom Clan. Wasn't that a better option? Who is he? Yin pulled himself together. He knew it would be the toughest step in this undersea journey. I can sense that he's a territory ancestor realm expert. His aura is really domineering. Emperor Sea Shark is the overlord of the seabed at first sky of territory ancestor realm. He's always cultivating under the sea. He rarely leaves the seabed. The 7 great clans don't want to mess with him, said Meiji in a low-pitched tone. He's Neptune's friend. Anyway, I think their friendship isn't good enough. Otherwise, he would kill us without talking. "Tribal oldie, what about our dead fellows?" screamed a Sea Clan warrior. Emperor Sea Shark looked cold as he said, The Power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol are the prices that they have to pay for my grandchildren's death. If they agree to hand the items over, we can save a lot of effort. He had his own concerns. Although he was at the territory ancestor realm, if he had to forcefully antagonize a force like the Phantom Clan, he wasn't so sure. He didn't want to let Neptune make use of him. If he killed Meiji, the Phantom experts would come to the Seabed. Taking the Power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol without enraging the Phantom Clan was the best thing to do. I'll give you 15 minutes to consider it. Emperor Sea Shark stood on his throne and spoke. Meiji, you're a smart woman. You know when to let it go. Swoosh. Countless layers of barriers were conjured. They covered the starlight cage to prevent the soul consciousness from sensing and eavesdropping. He's really strong at first sky of territory ancestor realm. We can try to defeat him, but I'm not so sure. Meiji looked bitter. Because I have been growing fast lately, I'm considering it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have the guts to fight him once. Shi Yin furrowed his brows. The first sky of territory ancestor realm. His incipient extent has evolved into the territory. He has dark energy. Indeed, he's an extreme opponent. We can't succeed. Once we're defeated, I know it won't be easy to talk to him again, said Meiji. Shi Yin lifted his head and looked at Emperor Sea Shark, his voice low. I've swallowed a lot of soul altars lately. My body, soul altars, and God power all transformed to many different levels. I feel great, but fighting against a territory ancestor is over my capacity, I think. But I still want to try. I want to know to what degree I can reach if I use all of my powers. Do you want to fight? Meiji was frightened as she spoke resolutely. No, absolutely not. You're at first sky of a mortal realm. Too low. Let me try beating Emperor Sea Shark. If we can't, just give him the Power Upanishad symbol tower. You're still young. You don't need to sacrifice yourself. You will have chances to make up the fight today. The absolute beginning original symbol has fused with my Power Upanishad. I don't know how to take it out. The Power Upanishad symbol tower has connected to my co-soul. I will never discard my soul. Shi Yin shook his head. Chapter 1453, The Space Cross / Chapter 1453, The Space Cross / Emperor Sea Shark coldly looked at the two inside the light cage with disdain on his face. Shi Yin was at first sky of a mortal realm, so he wasn't worth considering. He didn't think Shi Yin was important. If Meiji wasn't here, he was going to kill Shi Yin directly to take the Power Upanishad symbol tower without negotiating. Meiji was an expert at the peak of a mortal realm. She was going to get the chance to enter the territory ancestor realm later. Also, she belonged to the high echelon in the Phantom Clan. Emperor Sea Shark didn't want to be Neptune's dagger and be under the wrath of the Phantom Clan. If he killed Shi Yin and Meiji was left alive, Meiji was going to take revenge for Shi Yin when she entered the territory ancestor realm and became the top powerful character of the Phantom Clan. It was still troublesome to him. He wasn't a member of the 7 great clans, so he didn't have a strong background. He knew that he couldn't stand against any of the 7 clans. He had to consider every aspect before he did something. Time is up. What's your decision? Emperor Sea Shark arched his brows, walking out of the glass palace and striding toward the others. We aren't satisfied with giving the Power Upanishad symbol tower without fighting. Meiji smiled charmingly. You're our forerunner. You should convince us, right? Okay, give us a chance to resist. If we don't see hope, we will agree with your terms as you wish. Emperor Sea Shark was surprised. Meiji, you're the manager of the Phantom Clan in the Sea of Annihilation. You should know that even if you're at the peak of a mortal realm, you're no match against me. Is it necessary to try? This little devil of mine wants to try. Meiji didn't conceal her relationship with Shi Yin. Her jade hands squeezed Shi Yin's arm, her face agitated. Precursor, please fulfill our wish. At this moment, Emperor Sea Shark finally observed Shi Yin. At first glance, he sneered. First sky of a mortal realm? Haha, many of my grandchildren and subordinators are at that realm. He turned around and looked at a young man. Dadak, go and make him lose hope. That young man was around 3 meters tall and cultivating metal power. He was like a sharp sword at second sky of a mortal realm. With silver scales on his body, he was likely from Flood Dragon tribe. His rigid body shot out sharp energy. Try not to kill anyone. We don't want to enrage Emperor Sea Shark. That's how you spare us a way out, muttered Meiji. You should consider it. If your real competence can resist the peak of immortal realm experts, when you and I join hands, maybe we can get rid of Emperor Sea Shark. Think about it. Shi Yan's facial expression was like rigid ice. He was stern and cold. He nodded and stepped on the starlight toward Dadak. He had his plan. If he could resist attacks from a peak of a mortal realm, he would use all of his energy to use space power Upanishad to disturb the spatial order on the seabed to force a way out. And the premise was that his body could endure the space energy backfire. The seabed wasn't similar to the open air up there. He was so deep under the sea of annihilation that he didn't know how far he was from the surface. The water pressure here was extreme. Once he urged the space power recklessly, the water pressure and the space energy was going to press on each other and break the space. As he was the originator, he would bear the backfire. Because of this concern, he was careful enough to not use spatial abilities while moving under the sea. Ming Hao was at the peak of a mortal realm, and he had mastered space power Upanishad. However, he didn't try to do that as he knew how dangerous the backfire would be when the two intimidating forces collided. However, he was cornered. If he wanted to get rid of Emperor Sea Shark, he had to take a risky battle. He had to use extraordinary tricks to gain the victory. He couldn't calculate the fatal results on the seabed when the water pressure and the space energy made an impact. Anyway, he had to ensure that his body didn't get shattered under the backfire before he could try. Fighting was just a stone to test the knife. He wanted to check his body and his knife to see if it could endure the furious damage. Madame Meiji is the best dream of all men in the sea of annihilation. Why did she want to be with such a useless, pretty-faced young man like him? I don't see anything good in this fella. Meiji has made Batum and Hussein infatuated. They had proactively approached the Phantom clan to establish a good relationship. It's unexpected that she would choose a kid at first sky of a mortal realm. It's eye-widening, really. Yeah, I can't believe it. We can see something from this battle, perhaps. Some old men at third sky of a mortal realm by Emperor Sea Shark were stroking their beard and discussing curiously. I am Dadak from the Flood Dragon tribe, cultivating metal power Upanishad. Dadak was polite and gentle. Seeing Shi Yin walk to him, he told him his identity and status. Shi Yin. After a grunt, Shi Yin had starlight twirl around his body as if many meteors from the sky had come to him. His entire body was now beautiful starlight that headed toward Dadak. Dadak furrowed his brows and snorted. Really ignorant and rude. Bright metal light shot out from the crown of his head. Inside the shining gold halo, so many metal weapons emerged in his incipient extent, including sabers, swords, tridents, lances, hammers, shuttles, and needles. Those sharp weapons made a downpour and covered Shi Yan's starlight. Crack, bang, bang. The clanging and clinking sounds of metal objects impacting arose on Shi Yan's body. Sparks were sent everywhere. The power of metal in countless blades was still very sharp. The meteor and Shi Yan's transformation halted 10 meters in front of Dadak. Everybody focused on him. They saw hundreds of blades attacking him. His body was like the toughest rock. His clothes were cut through, but his skin resisted the sharp blades as they made clang sounds. But he wasn't gashed. The pointy spikes jutted out from his shoulders, knees, and elbows. A pair of bone wings tore his back and unfolded. His energy surged like a sea of vitality. He was like a volcano that had been sleeping for billions of years and now burst all of its light and heat in just a blink of an eye. Cross slash. Shi Yan's eyes became crimson like blood. The brutal energy moved inside his body. He grinned and then shouted. The space power Upanishad was urged. The two massive space sabers around 100 meters long aligned and made a massive cross. The shining blades adjoined and cut the seawater into blocks, shooting toward Dadak. The sharp sabers, knives, hammers, and gold lances were crushed into powder in just a blink of an eye. The massive cross sabers could cut everything as easily as they broke dry tree branches. The seawater, space, and bubbles all tore. The sabers were so sharp that it could even cut the mountain or part the sea and run directly to Dadak. Emperor Sea Shark was amazed. He opened his mouth to spurt out a rapid water current. The water current shot and congregated in front of the massive space saber. Then, the water current dispersed altogether with space energy of the cross slash. Turi! Shi Yan's chest pounded. A trickle of blood oozed down the corner of his mouth. His eyes were still blood-red, his mind shaken. When the space cross slash emerged, the space tore and created a space slit. As soon as that slit appeared, the terrifying water pressure furiously deluged and created 1,000 mountain-weight backfire on Shi Yan. His entire body ached and he got cut a few times. However, Emperor Sea Shark's water current had dissolved Dadak's dangerous situation and mended Shi Yan's space slits in just a blink of an eye. Shi Yan was frightened. You shouldn't use space power on the seabed rashly. Emperor Sea Shark frowned. He looked at Shi Yan in surprise and then waved his hand. Dadak, back off. You're not his equal match. Although this kid has only first sky of a mortal realm, he has seen dark energy. His body integrity is so strong that even I can't see through. Tribal oldie, hissed Dadak. Back off, Emperor Sea Shark retorted. Dadak didn't say more. He looked unwilling when he returned to the Crystal Palace. Hu Jiao, cried Emperor Sea Shark. Many warriors of the Sea Clan were astounded when they heard their leader shouting. They switched their looks to Shi Yan. It was just a kid at first sky of a mortal realm. Why did Tribal Oldie respect his power so much and have someone very strong like Sir Hu Jiao deal with him? An old man with a face full of down walked out from behind him, his hands hiding in his sleeves. The old man squinted. He walked toward Shi Yan and bent slightly to greet him. Hu Jiao, third sky of a mortal realm, cultivating wood power Upanishad. No wonder why Meiji has chosen you. Emperor Sea Shark nodded. He looked as if he had just recognized something. You have dark energy at first sky of a mortal realm. Your quenched body also surprises me. Kid, your future is brightly unpredictable. Allow me to remind you. Do not use the space energy to fight Hu Jiao. You know how the space energy will impact against the water pressure here and end up backfiring. He turned to Hu Jiao, pondered, and then asked, don't attack him brutally. If he survives this time, he will become a top warrior. Hu Jiao nodded respectfully. I understand. He touched his forehead. A small sprout shot out of his labella. Shortly after, it thrived into a small tree. That small tree's branches reached out and crawled on Hu Jiao entirely. They looked like a strange tattoo expanding. Dozens of seconds later, Hu Jiao disappeared. A big tree grew at his spot. The tree was lush with thick leaves and branches. The tree shook and many leaves fell. Those leaves were just as big as a palm with many magical, complicated lines. They carried the essence of a deadly formation of wood power Upanishad. They floated in the water and headed toward Shi Yan. A leaf came and touched Shi Yan's shoulder. Pain flooded his brain instantly. Boop! A bone spike on his shoulder broke. He couldn't help but look at the growing tree. Third sky of a mortal realm is really fierce. You can still talk. It's amazing, though. You're 2 realms lower than me. It's a miracle that you can stand still. Hu Jiao's voice arose from the big tree. Future territory ancestor, I want to see the supernatural power of dark energy. Please show me. Chapter 1454, Bloodshed on the Seabed. Chapter 1454, Bloodshed on the Seabed. Under the giant tree that could tower the entire sky with thick leaves and branches was still thriving amazingly. Gradually, the tree had become more imposing than Emperor Sea Shark's glass palace behind. At first glance, it seemed like this world had only that tree and this sea area was concealed. While the giant tree rattled, green leaves flew away. The complicated and subtle wooden texture on the palm-sized leaves looked like a mysterious formation. The leaves flew like a school of swimming fish that slowly approached with sharp, tearing auras. Shi Yan's skin sent a faint pain to his brain. Boop! Another spike on his shoulder exploded. Pain deluged him. Shurian shivered and couldn't help but roar furiously. Bands of rainbow-like starlight flashed and congregated at Shurian's body. He looked like he had so many chains coil him. The garment on his upper body shattered. His tough body that was as rigid as gold or steel emerged. Boom, 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 boom. Leaves exploded around his body. So many spectacular formations in a wooden texture shone. They merged with each other magically. Shortly after, a massive formation was formed by the leaves. Vines grew from the formation like slithering snakes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The vines were covered with sharp thorns that whipped like flood dragons. They rose the water and shot toward Shurian's shoulder. Boom! Starlight sparked on his body. After one hit of the vines in the seething water, the starlight protection on his body dimmed. Hu Jiao's voice came from the big tree. Give us the power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol. Although you know dark energy, your realm is not great enough to use it. You're not my equal opponent. The sky-towering tree wiggled strangely on the seabed. Thousands of branches swayed and countless leaves rattled and fell. They looked like so many spirits bombarding Shurian. More leaves exploded. The formation emerged once more. Evil, python-like vines whipped and lashed Shurian. Boom, boom, boom. Vines slashed. Shurian was like a willow catkin wobbling in the sea. His body was gory as the spikes on his shoulders, elbows, and knees broke continuously. His appearance was really pathetic. Shurian, if you can't help it, just yield. You're at first sky of a mortal realm only. It's good enough that you defeated Dadak. You shouldn't force yourself. Meiji felt her heart aching. She couldn't help but cry, her bright eyes sorrowful. Tribal oldie, we have to treat this man probably, said an old man at peak of a mortal realm. He was hiding inside a massive shell behind Emperor Sea Shark, his voice deep and low. He looked so worried. After getting Emperor Sea Shark's attention, he continued in a low-pitched voice. His body isn't breaking under Hu Jia's shelling. He has dark energy. If he doesn't die this time, he will enter the territory ancestor realm in the future. Then, he will become a hero. Emperor Sea Shark knitted his brows. Continue. As we seize the power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol today, he will bear a grudge against us. With his innate talents and capacity, he will be very intimidating later even without the absolute beginning original symbol. The old man looked stern and cautious. If we let him leave alive, isn't that no different from letting a tiger back to the woods? We shouldn't plant a scary seed, right? If Shurian had a normal realm with an ordinary capacity, this old man would never have suggested such a thing. If he was just a small warrior without the chance to break through to the territory ancestor realm in the future, even if they let him go, he wouldn't be able to threaten them. However, Shurian's talented performance made him worried. This is a savage cub that can become an extraordinary brutal beast. If we want to take the power Upanishad symbol tower, I suggest to do it resolutely. We would rather offend the Phantom Clan than let him live now. We should eliminate any possibility of a potentially devastating threat. The old man concluded. Emperor Sea Shark kept silent. Tribal oldie? Asked the other. I know that. Just keep watching him. I don't know why I see someone in him, Emperor Sea Shark said indifferently. The old man hiding in the shell focused on Shurian when he heard Emperor Sea Shark say that. At first, he was bewildered. After a while, he jolted as if he had just recalled something. His eyes brightened as if he had just found a new continent, his shell quivering. I found the similar features after you said that, sir. That look, aura, and his bearings, yeah, they're really similar, cried the old man. Keep watching, Emperor Sea Shark reminded him. The old man looked thrilled. He was excited as he nodded continuously and said nothing else. He was close to Emperor Sea Shark, and he was also a famous character of the Sea Clan. He could even call Emperor Sea Shark brother. Thus, the others couldn't understand their conversation. But Meiji understood him. She was a wise woman, and she knew the old man hiding in the shell. She saw him pull himself together, his eyes stern and cold. Meiji was sensitive enough to recognize the wrong situation. She could see that old man instigate the other. She became edgy because she knew the chaos that Shi Yin could create when he showed his astonishing capacity. She was anxious when she saw Shi Yin with many wounds. Her soul flickered restlessly as she was trying to find a solution. A lightning ball hovered in the seawater not far from them. It flashed like an eye. In fact, it was an eye. If someone could observe this sea area entirely, they would find a skull-sized lightning ball like that after every 100 miles. Many warriors from different forces had to bend their bodies and retreat when they saw the lightning balls. Before leaving, they would reveal their identities to the lightning balls too. It was because they knew that those lightning balls were Pharaoh's lightning eyes. They knew that Pharaoh could use those lightning balls to observe the situation everywhere. The balls would report the commotions to his soul in the sea of consciousness. At this moment, a lightning ball hovered in this area for a long time, slowly transmitting a wisp of an aura of the battle between Hu Jiao and Shi Yin. In a corner on the seabed, Pharaoh was sitting cross-legged on the back of a massive sea turtle. He opened his eyes all of a sudden. His face changed. He mumbled to himself, Hu Jiao's aura, a subordinate of Emperor Sea Shark. He sensed for a while. Then, the lightning ball that had just reported to him began to spin and move sneakily towards Emperor Sea Shark's crystal palace. Rumble, rumble. The 100-meter-long vines that were like snake tails lashed at Shi Yan's body. His body rumbled like a drumbeat with waves of explosions. After each explosion, his skin cracked and bled. Those cuts were so deep to the bone that people could vaguely see his veins and bones. Meiji's eyes were watery. She couldn't stay patient anymore as she screamed, "Give them the power Upanishad's symbol tower. Don't fight foolishly like that. Your two realms are too far apart. You're not his match." Emperor Sea Shark and the members of the Sea Clan watched everything with cold faces. They stood inside the Crystal Palace and stopped talking. The entire sea was silent. Each of the members of the Sea Clan, including Dadak and the old man inside the shell, were convinced and respectful. They admired and appraised Shi Yin for his tough will. The first sky of a mortal realm fought against the third sky of a mortal realm. This kind of battle happened twice in the long history of the sea domain of Nihility, where a lower realm warrior triumphed. One had used an absolute beginning divine weapon, and the other had seized the chance when the third sky of a mortal realm expert was breaking through to the next level to ambush. He had shattered his body and used his soul altar to succeed. Afterward, his soul altar slowly cracked. He died after 100 days. Thus, the members of the Sea Clan and Meiji thought that regardless of his dark energy and his tough body, he didn't have a chance to win. They just wanted to know how long Shi Yin could endure. What Shi Yin had done was apparently out of their expectations. They were both surprised and worried that Shi Yin could resist until now because his body was about to collapse. Your persistence doesn't make any sense. You know you will fail, but you are still stubborn. It's not a wise move, you know. Hu Jiao's voice was low and cold. His towering tree was above Shi Yan's head. Although the others couldn't see him anywhere, his aura had filled each corner of this sea area. In the shade of the tree, Shi Yan's body was filled with cuts and gashes. Magically, no drop of blood shredded. The bands of starlight twirling tried to prevent his wounds from getting worse. However, they weren't enough to protect his body. After a vine whipped him, the starlight exploded and a deep cut appeared on Shi Yan's body. Meiji's crying and Hu Jiao's cold mocking sounded continuously. Shi Yin balled his body like a wild beast facing death. He lifted his head and looked at the tree above. Blood streamed from his neck to his chest. A blood sword emerged in his palm. As soon as the blood sword appeared, he thrust it into his abdomen as if he had completely lost his mind. People didn't even see what had happened. As the others were horror-struck, an extremely ruthless, exploding aura burst out from the bloody sword planted in his stomach. He slowly pulled the bloody sword. The eyes on the sword opened. They were as eccentric and brutal as his own eyes at this moment. He looked at Meiji from a distance and sounded strangely calm. "I've been enduring for a long time, and I just got some deep cuts and broken veins. No bone got cracked. Now, I know that my body can endure the backfire. We have a chance of succeeding." Chapter 1455, Fierce Outbreak. Chapter 1455, Fierce Outbreak. Underscore Hu Jiao was really strong. He had gained the upper hand right from the start and was very overwhelming. Until this moment, Hu Jiao hadn't played everything he had yet. He didn't use his maximum power. But it couldn't say that Shi Yin was too weak. Shi Yin had only used star power in his defensive mode. He hadn't struck once. Actually, he was testing the toughness of his body. And he found his result now. With the best defensive tricks he could cast, he could resist at least 70% of the attacks of a third sky of Immortal Realm expert. His body wouldn't shatter. It was enough. When he drew the gory sword out of his abdomen and the bizarre eyes on the sword opened, he found his target. He was going to ignore this entangling battle and use the sharp space energy to tear the space. Seizing the chance when the space in the seabed was going to explode, they were going to run for their lives. This plan was clear and logical. Shi Yin understood that even if he used all of his power, he could only battle Hu Jiao. Also, there were at least 3 Sea Clan experts at the third sky of Immortal Realm besides Hu Jiao here. The old man hiding in the seashell was at the peak of Immortal Realm. An Emperor Sea Shark. Winning was just a fantasy story to them. Breaking this besiege was the best choice. He brought the bloody sword, and the brutal, bloody aura of the sword was extremely thick. The others didn't know what he was thinking, but Meiji understood it right away. She looked at Shi Yin and his bleeding body, her face upset. "Do you really want to try?" "I'm about 30% sure," said Shi Yin. "All right," Meiji hissed. A massive snow lotus was conjured from her peak-like bosom by her soul energy. The snow lotus carried a cold light. It froze the ice on its way and created a glacier that shot towards Emperor Sea Shark. The pod of the lotus carried her soul energy. The snow lotus sparkled. When it was about to reach Emperor Sea Shark, it became partly visible and flashed. What a powerful cold energy. It's dark energy. Meiji finally has dark energy. The Phantom Clan is about to get another territory ancestor. So many members of the Sea Clan couldn't help but scream in astonishment. Almost at the same time, Emperor Sea Shark's eyes brightened. The old man in the seashell behind him was also shaken. His shell shook strangely. But they didn't look at Meiji. Although Meiji's ice lotus was about to touch the Crystal Palace, while the others were watching her and apprising her dark energy, Emperor Sea Shark and the old man were still looking at Shi Yin in astonishment. They were watching Shi Yin. At this moment, Shi Yin had drawn a gory sword out of his body. A blood light slowly congregated at the tip of the sword. His thoughts changed and his aura changed accordingly and earth-shakingly. The isolated, cold aura of death filled the place. The bloody sword was now the scythe of death that harvested all the thick vitality around him. Strangely, the vines began to wither and dry as if the nutrients inside was taken away. It was the striking combined power of the death and devouring power Upanishad. Dozens of vines still had Shi Yin's blood after slashing him for a while. At this moment, they were like snakes that didn't have flesh and blood but unnatural dry skin. Hu Jiao suddenly screeched. The giant tree shook hard. So many leaves shot out like hard sleet. All bombarded Shi Yin. Shi Yin brought the blood sword, blood trickling down the corners of his eyes. He grinned fiendishly. "Hu Jiao, actually, if I do my best to battle against you, I'm not so certain that I will lose." Then, a surging, tremendous vitality that could shake people's souls grumblingly burst out from his body. At this moment, a magical light suddenly emitted from Shi Yin. His surroundings were cold and isolated. The blood sword had the thick taste of death as the king of hell that could bring all creatures into hell of despair. However, the vitality on him was strangely surging. The 2 opposite power Upanishads were showcasing on him at the same time. His god body was full of cuts. As people were gazing at him, his wounds were healing at a speed that naked eyes could observe. His veins and flesh fibers twitched. The wounds closed fast. Drops of blood on the cuts seemed to have life as they moved back into his body. The broken spikes on his shoulders, elbows, and knees regrew. They looked even sharper and sparkling in a cold light. Boom, boom. The absolute beginning original symbol was throbbing powerfully like a second heart at the center of the sphere. It represented the life power Upanishad in the tier of power Upanishads in his soul altar. It released ripples of formidable life energy, which healed him faster than he could imagine. After dozens of seconds, all the cuts on his body disappeared. His naked torso was filled with exploding energy. So many blood-dripping eyes on the sword opened. An endless, ruthless, and desperate aura layered and created a sea of blood that swarmed toward every sea of consciousness. Everybody turned to Shi Yin. A space of blood red struck their eyes. They seemed to see the devils of despair, savage, resentment, and fear. The blood sword swung around and tried to tear the space to create a river of space under the sea, which Shi Yin could use to escape this area. The Sea Clan warriors discolored in fear. They were panic-stricken because of Shi Yan's sudden outbreak. Yeah, that's it. Emperor Sea Shark eyes squinted to a thread. Strange, divine light sparkled in his eyes. He didn't even look at Meiji when he raised his hand to grab the void. The ice lotus that Meiji created was covered by the seawater. The frozen sea area resumed at the same moment. This is my sea area and my territory. I'm cultivating water power Upanishad. In this place, let alone the fact that you haven't reached the territory ancestor realm yet, even if you were a territory ancestor, do you really think you can defeat me under the sea? Emperor Sea Shark spoke indifferently, his eyes gazing at Shi Yin strangely. Crack, crack. The tip of the blood sword shot a beam of blood with the sharpness of space energy, attempting to tear the water. The keen aura frightened the experts around. They instinctively avoided it. Hu Jiao's tree branches were cut off, and he cried in pain. No need to leave. Emperor Sea Shark approached Shi Yin as he looked into his blood eyes and shook his head. Don't continue. If you use space energy rashly, the water pressure will hurt you badly. Getting hurt badly is still better than dying here. Shi Yin grinned. If I'm not frantic today, I'm sure I will bury my body here. I don't have a choice. Even if I have to stir up the entire Sea of Annihilation seabed and make the space collapse, I have to get out of here. Get out? All of a sudden, a cold voice arose from a far distance. After a flash, Farrell appeared and stood by Emperor Sea Shark. Under my gaze, how will you get out of here? He turned and smiled to Emperor Sea Shark. I've agreed with the ancient monster clan to take this kid's life. After I kill him, we will talk about how to share the power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol. What do you think? Emperor Sea Shark had a vague light in his eyes. He frowned but didn't answer. Farrell grinned and said to Meiji, you must know that the main island of the Phantom Clan in the Sea of Annihilation was destroyed. I massacred them all. You and this kid have killed many people who you shouldn't have killed. The Phantom Clan can't protect you. Meiji was filled with indignance. Farrell, as long as I am alive, one day, I will tear your soul atlas myself. Oh yeah, shrugged Farrell. Well, I have no choice then. You have dark energy. To prevent such an unexpected incident, I will have to kill you too. The Phantom Clan won't have another territory ancestor then. He smiled and turned to Emperor Sea Shark next to him. I'll take responsibility for killing Meiji. I know you're not like me. You don't cultivate alone. You have your own concerns. It will tie your hands a little bit. Just leave it to me. I will shoulder the wrath of the Phantom Clan. As soon as Farrell had arrived, he controlled the situation, which made the crowd of the Sea Clan angry. As they were all experts at the territory ancestor realm, he used a contact to Emperor Sea Shark on the seabed. They could be deemed rivals. However, they hadn't had a real battle yet since they all had their own concerns. Today, as they had the same target, Farrell thought that Emperor Sea Shark wouldn't interfere with his deeds here. I can't swallow the power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol. You can't, either. We need to wait for others to decide. Farrell smiled. He didn't consider anybody's ideas. All right, you've tried really hard here already. I'll take care of it from here. Then, he walked to Shi Yin and spoke deliberately. Kid, you have a short life, though. As you've offended a lot of people in the Sea of Annihilation, no one can protect you. Accept your fate. As Shi Yin saw Farrell, His face changed dramatically into a desperate one. He had only a 30% chance to run with only Emperor Sea Shark. With Feral here, he had no hope. Seeing Feral intend to kill both him and Meiji, he didn't need to know if it was possible or not. He had to try everything he can. He had to see if he could tear the space here. In a desperate situation, he had to keep his hope and his spirit. He had to try with his life. Crack, crack, crack. The blood light shot out and parted the seawater. A space slit as big as the massive mouth of a giant beast vaguely opened. No, it's not okay. Emperor Sea Shark shook his head. A flood current wormed between Yin and Feral. A blue marine world appeared from thin air and filled that tiny crack until it mended. Emperor Sea Shark, I told you that you don't need to take action. Why would you waste your power like that? Feral felt funny. I can do it. Hey, you. Feral suddenly shouted. His abdomen was bleeding through a gash. So many strange, glowing water arrows stabbed him one more time. His chest was pierced through. So many lightning balls rolled out of his sleeves and barged into those water arrows. Shortly after, the entire sea area looked like doomsday. Formidable, lethal energies bloomed and exploded. Yin and Meiji were dumbstruck. The members of the Sea Clan were speechless as they looked at their Emperor Sea Shark bewilderedly. Only the old man hiding inside the shell looked normal. His shadow moved, and he reappeared behind Feral. A fiery flaming fluid rolled out of his eyes and attached to Feral's waist. Join hands and attack Feral, Emperor Sea Shark shouted suddenly. The members of the Sea Clan didn't know the reason, but they responded to his call. Different energies and techniques bloomed and pounded on Feral. Emperor Sea Shark, what the heck are you doing? Do you want to take the Power Upanishad symbol tower and the absolute beginning original symbol for yourself? You think you can swallow them all? Thundered Feral. Yin, Meiji, you two run away right now. Do not stop. Change your route, shouted Emperor Sea Shark. Chapter 1456, It's the Will of Heaven. Chapter 1456, It's the Will of Heaven. Feral hovered in the deep sea. Many energy attacks, light curtains, ice mountains, and spikes bombarded him. Several thousand lightning balls spun around him frantically. The seabed was about to shatter. Billions of water arrows created a long, unceasing river as if it had always been covering Feral. Feral was struck and bewildered. He was so surprised as he didn't know why Emperor Sea Shark had suddenly burst out frantically. Until now, Emperor Sea Shark always had good senses. He rarely offended the members of the 7 clans. Also, he had restrained his warriors to not cause a conflict with the others. The Sea of Annihilation had 3 great territory ancestors including Emperor Sea Shark, Feral, and Ricardo. Among them, Emperor Sea Shark was the most modest. He seldom came to the sea surface or started a grudge against the 7 clans. Many people thought that his modesty was a sign of weakness. Because the Emperor Sea Shark had always controlled his warriors, the experts in the Sea of Annihilation thought that he was weaker than Feral and Ricardo. After a long time, Feral also thought that Emperor Sea Shark didn't dare to face him directly. It was also the reason why he had acted wantonly as soon as he had arrived. He had arrogantly decided everything. He thought that he understood Emperor Sea Shark, and that Emperor Sea Shark would agree with his suggestion to not offend the Phantom Clan. Thus, he proactively attacked Yin. He could never have estimated that Emperor Sea Shark, who was always moderate and often decided to yield, would suddenly act wild today. Emperor Sea Shark, do you think you're strong enough to swallow the Power Upanishad symbol tower alone? Feral was certain that the Power Upanishad symbol tower was Emperor Sea Shark's target. He smirked, let alone you. I know that I shouldn't dream about taking the Power Upanishad symbol tower when the 7 clans are watching. You shouldn't think about it. Emperor Sea Shark coldly floated. Behind him was a deep blue water world. Billions of water streams like everlasting, unceasing shooting arrows were bombarding Feral. Countless lightning balls exploded as Feral faced Emperor Sea Shark's attacks directly. He had to simultaneously deal with Emperor Sea Shark's powerful subordinates. He looked a little reckless, though. Why don't you leave? Hissed Emperor Sea Shark. Shi Yin and Meiji were still puzzled as they watched by the edge of the battle. They watched the situation turn upside down in just a blink of an eye and felt so bewildered. What's going on? They didn't know why Emperor Sea Shark wanted to protect them because he had just tried to force them to hand over the Power Upanishad symbol tower and the Absolute beginning original symbol 5 minutes ago. Emperor Sea Shark's attitude changed instantly. He had ambushed Feral. Shi Yin and Meiji gawked in surprise. However, they thought that Emperor Sea Shark had some other purpose. Why? Meiji was perplexed. As far as I know, you don't have any friendship with the precursors in my Phantom Clan. The Phantom Clan? Emperor Sea Shark ridiculed. It has nothing to do with the Phantom Clan. Heir? Emperor Sea Shark looked at Shi Yin, his visage complicated. Because of him, I haven't met you before. Today is the first time we met, right? Shi Yin thought. He was sure that he had never met Emperor Sea Shark before. It was the first time they met. It's your first time meeting me. But your teacher, has he ever mentioned me to you? Emperor Sea Sharks had a faint sadness in his eyes as he mocked himself. Oh, right. With his bearings and vision, he wouldn't have thought that I mattered. But I think he hadn't expected me to reach Territory Ancestor Realm too. My teacher? Shi Yin was startled. Your looks, your power Upanishads, and your aura tell me that you're his disciple, snorted Emperor Sea Shark. You mean bloodthirsty, don't you? Shi Yin was shocked. Yeah, if not him. Who else? Emperor Sea Shark smiled bitterly as if he didn't want to mention this character. Leave. I'll help you stop Feral. I'm going to give you a hand. Just consider that I have repaid what I've owed him. It's bloodthirsty again. Shi Yin was shaken. He screamed inwardly, frowned, and said nothing. Meiji understood it. After she found that Emperor Sea Shark had turned his spear around because of Shi Yin's teacher, she forced a smile and then said, Shall we join hands and kill Feral? Otherwise, after we leave, how can you deal with the wrath of the 5 clans? Shi Yin turned to see Emperor Sea Shark. While Emperor Sea Shark was talking to them, the water curtain in the water territory behind him created tens of thousands of water barriers to drain and seal Feral together with his subordinates' attacks. Feral didn't have free hands to mess with them. I'm at the Territory Ancestor Realm anyway. It's not easy to attack me. Emperor Sea Shark wore an arrogant face. But if you stay, you can't threaten Feral because you don't know that Territory Ancestors aren't people you can fight. Thus, instead of staying here and then getting caught by the 5 clans later, you better leave now. Meiji quieted down. Shi Yin pondered for a few seconds, gritted his teeth, and then said, We'll meet again. Then, he didn't wait for Meiji to say more. He pulled her hand and turned into a band of starlight, heading to Desolate Territory's entrance. He's worth being your apprentice. Emperor Sea Shark nodded and then pulled himself together. He said, We're going to join hands and delay Feral by keeping him here for 3 days. After that, you guys should scatter and live in your secret areas on this Sea of Annihilation seabed. Remember not to go to the sea surface. Tribal oldie, tribal oldie, tribal oldie. Why? The members of the Sea Clan in the Crystal Palace were panic-stricken. Feral and the Ancient Monster Clan have a close relationship. Neptune from the Soul Clan won't spare me if I let them leave now. The members of the other 3 clans will come to interrogate me too. I won't be able to live in peace. I will leave the Sea of Annihilation for a while. When I'm strong enough, I will be back. Emperor Sea Shark sighed. You are my subordinates. The 5 clans won't chase you. As long as you hide in this seabed, they won't have enough manpower to hunt you down. When I get strong enough to face the 5 clans, I will come find you in the Crystal Palace. Why? Tribal oldie, why do you have to help them? Hu Jiao emerged, his face puzzled and bitter. I owed a man my life. He helped me break through to Territory Ancestor Realm. Emperor Sea Shark chuckled. I've planned to stay on the seabed to help him find the absolute beginning vestige. Unexpectedly, his disciple had it. It's heaven's will. I should help his disciple solve the problem. With a solemn face, he hissed, Just do it. You guys will leave after 3 days. Stay in seclusion. From now on, you're not related to me, Emperor Sea Shark. I just need you to live well, Tribal oldie, tribal oldie, tribal oldie. Just do as I said. Do not say nonsense. Emperor Sea Shark shouted resolutely. Inside the water territory behind him, billions of water curtains had created a vast barrier and sealed Pharaoh's lightning territory. The Sea Clan warriors weren't affected by the water curtains. They continuously attacked and bombarded Pharaoh, troubling him. Time flew hurriedly. 3 days had passed as fast as a blink of an eye. The members of the Sea Clan were exhausted after 3 consecutive days of attacks. All of them were weakened to a particular level. As Emperor Sea Shark understood his subordinates well, he knew that they could resist for only 3 days. After 3 days, he pitched his voice. Hu Jiao, Dadak, you guys drive the Crystal Palace. The rest of you, scatter and hide in your secret areas in the Sea of Annihilation. You should also notify the others who don't know about this incident. Tribal oldie, do not babble. I've made up my mind. Leave now. Many Sea Clan members looked sorrowful. They left as Emperor Sea Shark had told them. Hu Jiao and Dadak drove the Crystal Palace away. They had pledged to protect the Crystal Palace and wait until Emperor Sea Shark returned. Shortly after, only Emperor Sea Shark and the old man in the seashell were left in this area. Shunren, I want you to leave with them. At this moment, Emperor Sea Shark didn't attack Pharaoh more. But still, Pharaoh was trapped in many layers of water. He was using his lightning power to attack the water layers and get rid of it. The others don't know this, but I'm sure you know. Fighting on the seabed, Pharaoh and Ricardo aren't my equal opponent. I live here, and I cultivate water power Upanishad. This sea area is my natural support. The Sea Clan old man inside the seashell just cackled. Of course, I know that. If you want to fight, and if you're combative, Pharaoh and Ricardo should have been defeated. I also know that after I leave, Pharaoh won't be your rival. But what if Neptune and Ricardo all come here? Emperor Sea Shark's eyes were serene. You've not reached the territory ancestor realm yet. Even if you stay, you can't help me. I'm staying to remind you of when to leave. I know that even if Neptune and Ricardo come, if you want to leave, you can leave at any minute. I'm just afraid that you'll pretend to be a fool again, said Shinren. You've been accompanying me for years. You should know that I'm not who I used to be. I was hot-tempered like thunder. I liked slaughtering without reasoning. I didn't know what surrendering meant. But now, I'm patient and subtle. I've changed my stinky habits. I know life is more important than reputation. I know when to run away, smiled Emperor Sea Shark. Even so, I have to see you leave. Shunren was persistent. Emperor Sea Shark was surprised. Pondering for a while, he nodded begrudgingly, his eyes upset. He must be gone. When he returned, he told us that if we see his successor, it meant that he had already gone. I can't believe that a character like him is dead now. You've reached a high realm. Of course, he has his place to return to. When we met him in the sea that year, we were just at incipient god realm. Sigh, we were useless. We've been looking for so many years on this seabed and we got nothing. It's amazing that his disciple got them all, sighed Shinren. It's the will of heaven, said Emperor Sea Shark calmly. Chapter 1457, Enlightened by the Broken Star. Chapter 1457, Enlightened by the Broken Star. So many big, broken rocks lay on the deep seabed. They looked ancient as if they had been there for billions of years. Those big rocks were in various shapes. Some looked like a cliff, and some even resembled a broadsword. It was obvious that many of them were cut by sharp blades, as the cut surfaces were flat and smooth. These rocks were scattered everywhere in this sea area. However, these rocks were actually broken stars. Many years ago, a furious war had taken place above the Sea of Annihilation. The floating pieces of broken stars above the sea surface exploded and sank to the seabed. Meiji stood on a rhombus stone and smiled beautifully like a charming fox deity. That war should be very fierce. That's why there are many pieces of broken stars here. It's not rare or strange, anyway. Not far from her, Shi Yin looked pensive as he stood on a sword-shaped rock. Shi Yin and Meiji had moved as fast as lightning until they reached this sea area with so many rocks. Shi Yin suddenly slowed down and parted from her. He dashed between the broken pieces. Sometimes, he raised his hand to stroke those strange rocks. It made Meiji restless. She didn't know how Shi Yin could be at ease like that in this critical moment. He still had the mood to observe the broken stars here. "Give me some time here." Shi Yin signaled her to stay quiet as he moved around the broken stars. The rocks here had many colors and dots. Some were as smooth as a mirror while others were rough and rigid. Gradually, he closed his eyes, his soul consciousness reaching out like a spider web that moved between the rocks. As soon as he got here, he had a magical feeling in his mind. His star power Upanishad seemed to get stimulated. It seemed like something really marvelous was hiding somewhere in the area, filled with pieces of broken stars. Wisps of soul consciousness expanded and created a massive net shrouding the rocks. After a while, his eyes opened and his pupils sparkled strangely. A wisp of his soul consciousness reported a feeble aura from a piece of a broken star. That aura was extremely magical. It seemed to have some soul energy. Shi Yin was moved. He turned into a jet of starlight that stopped by a piece of broken star. This rock was dozens of meters tall, and it looked plainly brown-gray. He reached out and placed his hand on that rock. After calming down his mind, he sensed and sent the star energy into the rock. Boom! The brown-gray broken star became dazzling when he sent his star energy into it. The brilliant starlight was like a cold, sharp sword or a bright star in the velvet night. Meiji suddenly saw the dazzling light from a far distance. She was bewildered as she rushed forward. Her beautiful eyes were bright as she stood on another star and watched. At this moment, Shi Yin was touching the rock that was emitting starlight, his face focused but his eyes surprised. This piece of a broken star had a wisp of feeble aura. That aura belonged to this rock. It was a magical feature when a power Upanishad was cultivated to the ultimate level. It finally had consciousness. A scene arose in his head. Tens of thousands of years ago, an expert cultivating star power Upanishad had used his energy to control the stars above the sea of annihilation. So many stars had been stimulated and received consciousness that they could proactively seek enemies to attack. The power Upanishad had a spirit. The energy that the expert had cast out received the spirit and turned it into a part of the expert's spirit. It advanced the ability of the power Upanishad to an extremely profound level. After tens of thousands of years, the consciousness of the power Upanishad that had controlled the broken stars had still not faded. As Shi Yin also cultivated star power Upanishad, he was able to stimulate something strange from the rocks to see the remaining energy. That's why the rock could emit starlight for a while. The dazzling light from the rock dimmed, and it resumed its normal condition after the star energy was used up. A wisp of soul consciousness hidden inside the rock vanished. Shi Yin still touched the rock, his eyes shining. The power Upanishad has its own spirit. Shi Yin felt like lightning struck him. While his thoughts changed, starlight shot out from his 10 fingers. 10 jets of starlight turned and moved like 10 spirit snakes. Spirit imprint. 10 soul seals from his host soul entered the 10 jets of starlight. As soon as they departed from his fingers, he cut off the connection. The 10 starlights shot out. Shi Yin immediately cut off the control and stopped using the soul consciousness to control them. The connection between Shi Yin and the jets of starlight was interrupted. The 10 jets of starlight moved in a straight line. They shelled a piece of a broken star far from him. Oh, it doesn't feel right. Shi Yin shook his head. If his power Upanishad had a spirit, once the starlight shot out, he didn't need to use the soul consciousness to guide them. They could attack the target or change their trajectory on their own. Not the right direction, then. Mumbling to himself, he changed his technique. As he muttered, another jet of starlight had shot out from his left index finger. With the new perception of star power Upanishad, he used the host soul to sense the galaxy in his tier of power Upanishads. He created a soul imprint and sent it to the galaxy. Then, with the aura from the galaxy, he carved the imprint onto a jet of starlight. The starlight shot out, but it didn't have the spirit. Not yet. He looked like he was in bedevilment as he continuously shot out starlight and broke many pieces of broken stars. He continued to fail. He didn't know why. He frowned and thought about what to do. He had tried many methods to give spirit to his power Upanishad to understand this power deeper. Meiji quietly watched him. She didn't try to prevent or call him anymore. She knew that Shi Yin was trying to break the challenge of understanding the realm. She shouldn't disturb him at this moment. 2 days and 2 nights passed quickly. Meiji found a treasure that was similar to the heavenly fantasy star compass, so she knew the time. 2 days and 2 nights wasn't a long time. Normally, it was just like a blink of an eye. However, to the current situation, 2 days was enough for many things to happen. It was also enough for the enemy to catch them. Seeing Shi Yin sink in his cultivation but not get anything, Meiji became restlessly agitated. Time continued to pass. Shi Yin was bewildered as he stood in between the broken pieces of stars and tried to understand his power Upanishad. Meiji was so uneasy as if she got a flame that burned her inwardly. Dash! Boom! Boom! Thunder continued to rumble. The energy hit layers of water and shattered them. Farrell howled and finally got free from the water restriction. He thundered indignantly. Emperor Sea Shark, you trapped me and let that kid go. I don't care what kind of purpose you have in your mind, but you must bear the consequences. Emperor Sea Shark and Shanren blocked Farrell's sides, their faces indifferent as they ignored Farrell shouting, I don't want to talk to you. Where's that kid? I've agreed with the ancient monster clan to take his life and the power Upanishad symbol tower. Farrell wore a cold face. Emperor Sea Shark smirked and shook his head. Farrell, do you still think that you're the best in this sea of annihilation? I know you've tried to provoke me several times. You want to fight me and defeat me. You want to use my defeat to strengthen your high position and receive more recognition from the ancient monster clan. You want them to invite you back to the ancient monster clan with a noble ceremony, right? Is that what you want? His words exposed Farrell's thoughts. Farrell wasn't a member of the ancient monster clan, but he had the ancient monster clan's bloodline. Before he was strong enough, the ancient monster clan didn't pay attention to him. Before he had reached the territory ancestor realm and gained fame in the Sea of Annihilation, the ancient monster clan didn't even look at him. They had sent Yerberg and Hussein to visit him often. Farrell looked arrogant, but deep in his mind, he wanted the ancient monster clan's recognition. He wanted to return to the clan in glory and become one of the experts with the top power. In recent years, he had often provoked Emperor Sea Shark and Ricardo. He wanted to defeat them and become the strongest warrior in the Sea of Annihilation. Then, with this title, he was going to draw the attention of the true experts of the ancient monster clan. They were going to come to the Sea of Annihilation personally to invite him to return to the ancient monster clan to meet his ancestor and offer him the best treatment according to his noble status. It was just an excuse that Farrell wanted to take revenge for Yerberg and Hussein. He just wanted to seize the change to showcase his talents by robbing the power Upanishad symbol tower to prove his ruling status in the Sea of Annihilation. He wasn't afraid of offending the Phantom clan to tie himself together with the ancient monster clan. He had received acceptance from the ancient monster clan's senior echelon. As long as he could take the power Upanishad symbol tower, the Hall of Fame of the ancient monster clan was going to have a slot for him. For this slot, Farrell had tried his best to compete. As Emperor Sea Shark had seen through him, Farrell darkened his face. What if it's true? What if it's not true? Whether it's true or not, I'll satisfy you today. I'm going to battle you, Farrell. I hope it fulfills your wish for years. Emperor Sea Shark grinned. His eyes suddenly turned red, which was similar to Shi Yan's rampage. A brutal, bloodthirsty aura that was completely different from his water power Upanishad suddenly burst out from his body. Shinran was hovering nearby. Seeing Emperor Sea Shark's appearance, he felt worried. The old man had decided to stay because he was worried that Emperor Sea Shark would use the technique that Bloodthirsty had taught him. Once he used it, his competence was going to increase rapidly. However, he would be similar to Shi Yin in that he would lose his mind easily and fall into a slaughtering mode. Don't worry. I understand. I will leave when it's time to leave. Now, don't try to talk me out of it. Emperor Sea Shark grinned, as if he understood what Shinran was worried about. He screamed and moved with ease. Stepping on the water current, he strode toward Feral. Feral changed his visage slightly. He lifted his head to watch the water territory above his head as he felt the pressure increase dozens of times. The pressure pushed him everywhere like billions of mountains pounding on him at the same time. At this moment, Feral knew that Emperor Sea Shark wasn't weak and easily bullied. He was a beast in his slumber on the seabed. He disdained to fight against him. And today, he finally awakened. Chapter 1458, Clash of Territories. Chapter 1458, Clash of Territories. Under the Sea of Annihilation's seabed was boiling. Massive bubbles were rising. Emperor Sea Shark was seen in each bubble, each of them an independent world. Inside those bubbles were a reef under the sea, corals, algae, and swimming fish. They were all lively and swarming toward Feral from every direction. Those bubbles came like mountains. Feral was breathless, his face extremely stern. Thunder Nether Territory. A thunder and lightning world arose, inflating like a balloon and covering Feral. That world contained dark blue lightning bolts. Electricity beams crawled and struggled in the sky like giant dragons. Thunderbolts as big as a waterfall connected the netherworld and the sky. At first glance, this entire world of thunder and lightning strikes was supported by countless lightning columns. Feral hovered in the middle of that world like a god of thunder. Shortly after, countless lightning balls condensed. Those lightning balls spun and exploded. An earth-shattering energy explosion appeared in the world of thunder and lightning. It shook the seabed and twisted the entire place. Emperor Sea Shark's water territory and Feral's thunderbolt territory collided and pressed on each other. The water currents and the lightning balls shattered altogether. The shockwaves stirred up the sea area and created many massive whirlpools. Those whirlpools were tens of thousands of meters. Shortly after, they swallowed so many islands on the Sea of Annihilation's surface. Rays of light from the energy impact shot to every corner like sharp swords. Many warriors cultivating around the area could see those intimidating lightsabers. They had to run for their lives. However, many of them were killed by the shockwaves of the fierce battle between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral. So powerful. Fierce. It's a battle between real experts. It's the level of Territory Ancestor Realm experts. Do they want to destroy the Sea of Annihilation seabed? Air? When was the last time Territory Ancestor Realm experts fought in the Sea of Annihilation? On the seabed, the sea surface, and even in the sky, many warriors from different clans and forces were startled by the confrontation between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral. They were discussing boisterously. They were excited, scared, and even frantic. Warriors with low realms hurried to move as far away from the area as possible. They were afraid that they could get hurt from the shockwaves. Warriors who thought their realms were high enough became thrilled. They began to gather and head to the battlefield. Especially some experts at the Immortal Realm. To understand dark energy, they ignored everything and tried to go closer to observe the battle between the Territory Ancestor Realm experts. They would try everything for a chance to break through. They eagerly came to the seabed. At this moment, so many experts had come to the Sea of Annihilation. The members of the 7 clans who were dispirited because they couldn't find Shi Yin came with joy as they recognized that the 2 territory ancestors battling were because of Shi Yin. In their eyes, what could make the 2 territory ancestors fight against each other besides the power Upanishad symbol tower? Neptune from the Soul clan was sitting cross-legged on his clouds of brutal souls, countless brutal souls bobbing around him and blackening the entire area. He suddenly opened his eyes and sneered. Interesting. The clouds of brutal souls moved like a black cluster of clouds through the sea and headed toward the furious battle. Inside a rock forest, Forefather Dragon Lizard, Tu Shirchi, and Yayun were waiting for Hiro of the Whitebone clan. As they felt the earth-shaking commotion of the Territory Ancestor Realm battle, they exchanged looks. Tu Shirchi immediately messaged Hiro and then hurriedly headed to the battle area. Chiemo of the Devouring clan appeared on the Sea of Annihilation's surface. Standing behind him were about 10 warriors of the Devouring clan. They stood upright with respect. Chi-Mo observed the vortexes, listened to the rumbling thunder from the vortexes and frowned. Get to the seabed. Right after that, the devouring warriors dove deep into the sea. Most of the High Realm warriors from the 5 clans had the same purpose when they came to the match between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral. This match was predestined to attract a lot of people. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Inside the world of thunder and lightning, so many dark blue lightning balls exploded. The power of their explosions was enough to break asteroids or even crush a small star into powder. Emperor Sea Shark's water territory was torn sometimes under the blasting power of the Thunderbolt territory. However, it was like a sword cutting through the water curtain. The water curtain went back to its normal state almost instantly. At this moment, many warriors from the surrounding areas had gathered by the area where the two were fighting. Most of them were at the Immortal Realm and well known in the Sea of Annihilation. They had all used their god power to create different colored light cage protections, ranging from blue, red-orange, emerald, silver, and lime. The rainbow light twirled around the light cages. It was the sign of highly condensed god power. Emperor Sea Shark's and Feral's energies had collided, electricity beams sparking. Those electricity beams could kill incipient god realm experts quickly. Thus, those Immortal Realm experts had prepared well with their best defense. When the electric current hit their light cages, only sparks were sent everywhere. They watched, their faces stern or excited. They even discussed with each other. Tu Shih-Chi, Ye-Yun, and Forefather Dragon Lizard were in this group too. They were ones of the warriors who had arrived first. Seeing the terrifying energy impact between Emperor Sea Shark and Forefather Dragon Lizard, Forefather Dragon Lizard became eager. The battle at the Territory Ancestor Realm isn't ordinary, indeed. The Water World and the Thunderbolt World are real territories. They are above the incipient extent. They contain the essence of water power Upanishad and thunder and lightning power Upanishad with dark energy as the source of energy. They're pretty close to reality. He wanted to use their battle to see the power of dark energy, which would help him break through to the Territory Ancestor Realm too. Feral's Thunderbolt territory slowly had continents created by lightning. They were complete continents. If low realm warriors at the 3 minor god realms and the 3 major god realms cultivated there, they would gain the big benefits. To low realm warriors, Feral's Thunderbolt continents were auspicious lands that they only dreamed of. At this moment, the 3 massive continents glowing in a dazzling light came out with grumbling thunder. On their way, they turned into the lightning balls and hit Emperor Sea Shark's water territory. Emperor Sea Shark's water territory consisted of immensely vast seas. The seas under the lightning attacks exploded and disappeared. However, they recovered fast. Emperor Sea Shark was in every sea in his water territory. With 2 crimson eyes, he grinned brutally. The water is unpredictable. It can be destroyed by slashing, hacking, or exploding it. You used a saber to cut the water. Do you think you can succeed? The number of bubbles was also the number of the small worlds inside the water territory. After they shattered, they came back right again. As the onlookers heard Emperor Sea Shark, they were scared. Until now, many people had thought that Feral was the strongest among the 3 territory ancestors in the Sea of Annihilation. They ranked Ricardo second and Emperor Sea Shark as the weakest. However, the battle today had turned everything upside down. They found that Emperor Sea Shark, who was always humble, wasn't weaker than Feral. He was even stronger somehow. Many of them had recognized it and thought, it's the seabed, deep down in the blue sea. Emperor Sea Shark cultivates water power Upanishad. He has natural support here. How could Feral deal with him at ease? At this moment, they were startled and recalled Emperor Sea Shark's power Upanishad. They thought it was reasonable that Emperor Sea Shark could gain the upper hand in this battle. The battle happened. Still. The field of broken stars. Shuryen sat like a rock statue for a long time. He didn't use the star power Upanishad anymore. He looked like he had been petrified. Meiji's worries swelled. Although they were very far away from the battle between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral, Meiji knew how furious the battle of the territory ancestors was through the sea water. She could confirm that the real experts of the Sea of Annihilation had all sensed the confrontation between the two more or less. Also, it had successfully attracted them. As Meiji was the leader in charge of the Phantom Clan in the Sea of Annihilation, she wasn't a fool. She knew why Emperor Sea Shark had decided to take action now, and why he had to create such a great commotion just to attract the other experts. He wanted to give Shi Yin more time to leave without being noticed or tagged along. What did the Emperor Sea Shark owe his teacher? To back up him leaving, he didn't hesitate to stand against the 5 clans. Is he crazy? Meiji was surprised. The more she tried to guess Emperor Sea Shark's plan, the more puzzled she became. She understood Emperor Sea Shark better than most people. After so many years, Emperor Sea Shark had been subtle and modest on the seabed. He rarely competed with anyone, and he didn't want an alliance with the 7 clans like Farrell or Ricardo. He was a real hermit. But because of Shi Yin, he had shown his fangs to show the world how formidable he actually was. Meiji believed that Emperor Sea Shark's deed had caught the attention of all experts. Also, she knew that whenever Shi Yin got up, they could leave to desolate territory safely. However, Shi Yin had been quiet for a long time as if his soul was gone. Although she had sealed this area for the time being, if a real expert came, he could still recognize an abnormal situation. When she and Shi Yin got exposed, they couldn't control the situation. What should I do now? Should I wake him up and tell him that Emperor Sea Shark's fighting against Farrell to give him a chance to leave? Meiji struggled mentally and couldn't make up her mind. A sharp aura suddenly came. The other had even uttered something as if he had found the delicate seal in this area. Meiji was tense as she gritted her teeth. I have to wake him up? Her figure moved as she tried to use her soul consciousness to enter Shi Yan's brain and awaken his consciousness. However, at this moment, a massive ice saber condensed above this illusion of ice and slashed downward. Meiji had used the ice crystal to create the illusion that had hidden her and Shi Yin in the blind corner. Normal people couldn't find them, anyway. However, this random person happened to cultivate ice power Upanishad too. That's why he had curiously slashed the ice illusion to see what it hid. That saber had hacked them before Meiji's soul consciousness was sent to Shi Yin. Crack, crack, crack. The illusion of ice was attacked. It shattered like a mirror. Pieces of ice reflected a chaotic situation. A jet of starlight created by the star energy shot out of Shi Yan's body. It acted as if it had its own consciousness. As soon as it was released, it was like a dragon soaring up into the sky or a caged beast that had suddenly escaped its imprisonment. Eagerly, it parried the ice saber. The ice saber broke and the jet of starlight turned into more beams of starlight. It was like a soul divided into dozens of wisps. The starlight beams transmitted angry screaming as they moved agilely like a bunch of snakes and coiled around a warrior. Chapter 1459. One gets through, all gets through. Chapter 1459. One gets through, all gets through. Shi Yin had been quiet for a long time. Now, he opened his eyes and stood between the broken stars. He looked at the warriors tied by the starlight chains in the water above his head. He was a warrior cultivating ice power Upanishad at second sky of a mortal realm. This man had the typical appearance of someone of the ancient monster clan. He was covered in thick fur. His hands were rough and large, and his face was like that of a ferocious beast. A strange and cold light sparkled in his eyes. You are that Shi Yin. Ha ha ha. He stooped to see and couldn't help but laugh crazily. I've worn my shoes for nothing, and now, I got you without spending a bit of effort. Oh yeah? Are you really that happy? Meiji's attractive laughter resounded from the shade of a big rock. The warrior changed his face instantly as if he saw a ghost. He tried to jump and get rid of this area. He used to work as Hussein's guard for a while. He had witnessed Meiji beat Hussein up, which had almost ignited a war between the Phantom Clan and the ancient Monster Clan. He knew that Meiji was cold and ruthless even though she looked sexy and seducing. She was really evil and her deeds were merciless. Anyway, seeing Meiji, his temples twinged. However, so many starlight chains coiling around him acted as if they had lives. He could even feel the resentful, angry, and brutal auras from them. After struggling for a while, he couldn't get rid of them. Yin stood on a rock underneath. He didn't look like he wanted to attack him. His face was puzzled. He didn't look up to see the man. A jet of starlight appeared on his fingertip. An invisible beam of light emitted from the host soul and shined the galaxy in the tier of power Upanishads. The light of the host soul seeped into the galaxy and continued to move to the sea of consciousness. A wisp of soul consciousness was released. That wisp of soul consciousness imprinted onto the starlight. Shortly after, that starlight seemed to have consciousness and a projection of his soul. A strange feeling reflected in his mind. The jet of starlight from his fingertip seemed to have another co-soul of his, a part of him. It had a mental connection with him, but it had an independent consciousness. It protectively left his fingertip and aimed at the ancient monster clan warrior. Yin jolted up. The power Upanishad with a spirit. It was his power Upanishad that had a spirit. The ability of his power Upanishad now had a complete, independent consciousness. It became a miniature of the host soul that could proactively dodge the attack and find the enemy's weakness to kill him. It was a mysterious principle of the power Upanishad, using the host soul to chain the power Upanishad in the tier of power Upanishads and then connect it with the sea of consciousness. Yin had added his soul consciousness to his god power. The host soul, the power Upanishad, the sea of consciousness, and the god power had created a marvelous resonance, which made the power Upanishad get the aura of a soul instantly. Yin understood this magical principle now. When his thoughts changed, his power Upanishad switched. A red hand seal generated by the death power Upanishad flew out of his head and fell on that ancient monster clan warrior. The red seal had complicated fingerprints that seemed alive with negative auras including bloodthirstiness, resentfulness, brutality, desperation, and fear. The negative auras had become the soul of death. It was dark, sinister, and cold, and it could release formidable waves of negative energies. Boom! The ancient monster clan warrior screamed as his brain was shaken and invaded by the negative energies. His consciousness shattered. Space cross / Yin spoke calmly and changed his power Upanishad. A cross-like lightsaber appeared. It was created by a wisp of his soul consciousness. When his thoughts flickered, he was careful not to tear or distort the space as he was afraid of stimulating the space badly. The light space saber moved at a breakneck speed that the naked eyes could hardly observe. The cross saber disappeared all of a sudden. Then, the ancient monster clan warrior's chest had a deep crosscut. The cut went through his body and shattered it. The death seal was carved on his forehead. The soul of death entered his soul altar and made it chaotic with the unconscious screaming of killing. Yin chuckled and mumbled to himself. One gets through and the rest follow through. I finally understand why Bloodthirsty had cultivated 8 great, evil power Upanishads at the same time, but he still reached the profound level. He understood it now. While he was in desolate territory, more than one warrior told him that it would be much tougher to break through as he cultivated many power Upanishads at the same time, and that he had to understand all the power Upanishads to reach a new realm. He believed it with not a single doubt. But he was also aghast. If it was true that there was no shortcut, what did Bloodthirsty do to cultivate soul control, death, corrosion, dark, chaos, destruction, desperate, and corpse-chi power Upanishads together with his devouring power at the same time? He had advanced very fast in desolate territory, and he had entered the territory ancestor realm quickly. What did he use? Did he have to understand all the abilities of the great evil powers and the devouring power Upanishads? How could he have enough energy to do that? If he didn't have anything magical, he should have been stuck in a low realm, right? But that didn't happen. It wasn't true that if one cultivated many power Upanishads at the same time, he had to comprehend each of his power Upanishads to enter a new realm. If he understood the principle of his power Upanishads, he could take the shortcut. Although there were so many power Upanishads in this world, they had some similar principles. For example, if the metal, wood, water, fire, and earth power Upanishads could transform into a world of 5 elements, they could create the 5 elements death traps inside that sealed world. The great evil power Upanishads belonged to the negative, bloodthirsty category power Upanishads, so they shared some same principles. Also, the power Upanishad spirit that he had just comprehended could send a soul aura to the star, space, and death power Upanishads when he used their abilities. Space and star power Upanishads had the aura of his vitality, and the death power Upanishad was an evil, fearful one. Different spirits of the power Upanishads corresponded to the sunshine and darkness in his body. The aura of the star and the surging vitality were images of warmth, tolerance, and mercy in his soul. The sharp space power Upanishad represented his cutting edge, while the terrifying evil features of the death and devouring power Upanishad were projections of the most extremely negativeness in his soul. A person in different situations, different moods, and different times acted differently. Likewise, the soul aura created while cultivating different power Upanishads wasn't similar. It could magnify some aspect of the host soul endlessly and imprint it on the power Upanishad to increase its power and the strength of the principle. Indeed, when he got one through, everything else could get through too. As he had comprehended this within the star power Upanishad, he also concluded that his space, death, and life power Upanishads could reach the same level. After understanding one principle, he had advanced all of his power Upanishads. Squinting, he observed the tragic death of the ancient monster clan warrior above his head and smiled. A black hole arose from the crown of his head. It opened like a mouth of a devil that swallowed the soul energy of that man. Inside that black hole was the most terrifying dark side of Shi Yan's soul. It had the smell of a bloodthirsty desire, as if it was nibbling flesh and blood and melting that poor man's soul. Watch over me. I need to adjust my condition for a while. Then, I can enter second sky of a mortal realm, said Shi Yan. Meiji's eyes rippled a beautiful light as she swallowed her advice and answered him mildly. Okay. Dash. At a corner of the Sea of Annihilation, Ming Hao and the God Lord halted and squinted to sense the aura flowing with the sea water current. They were moved. Audrey's realm wasn't high enough. She frowned and didn't understand it. The experts are fighting on the seabed. Experts at the Territory Ancestor realm, reminded Ming Hong. Audrey was frightened. Is it because of Shi Yan? Probably, Ming Hong thought, and then said, the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower is very crucial. Unless it's the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower, the Territory Ancestors won't join the battle personally. I want to go there and see, said Audrey resolutely. It's not a wise move, Ming Hong shook his head. We also want to go there and see. Ming Hao and the God Lord exchanged looks and made up their minds. It's a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity to see Territory Ancestors fight against each other. We've been stuck in this realm for a really long time. Perhaps we can learn something from this battle to break through to the Territory Ancestor realm. They don't know us, so they won't relate anything to us. We can go there and observe from a distance. We should check if it's Shi Yan, and it's a good chance to improve our realms too. The God Lord said firmly, the experts in this Sea of Annihilation aren't really powerful. They're too weak and much lower than bloodthirsty. Perhaps the ones at the Territory Ancestor realm are considered the strong ones. I've swaggered in desolate territory for 20,000 years, and only bloodthirsty could defeat me. If I enter the Territory Ancestor realm, I'm confident that I can challenge each of the Territory Ancestors in this sea domain of nihility. We'll go there to open our minds and observe their competences. After I break through to the Territory Ancestor realm, I'm sure I will stir up the entire sea domain of nihility. Then, he stopped caring about Audrey and Ming Hao. He turned around and flew towards the battle site between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral. Ming Hao pondered for a while and then said, Audrey, your realm is too low. You shouldn't take risks. It's better that you find a safe place to hide. After I'm done with watching the battle, I will come and find you. I've left my aura on you to track you later. Ming Hao left resolutely. Audrey snorted, we should go too. Do you really want to go? Ming Hong wasn't really willing to do that. If you don't want to go, I'm going there alone. Audrey pulled a cold face. All right, Ming Hong was begrudging. They followed Ming Hao and the God Lord and headed to the battle. They moved at their max speed. Just like a shadow wandering under the sea, they flashed and disappeared. Rumble, rumble. Thunderbolts stirred the entire place. The seawater was furiously boiling. The entire sea area looked as if it was about to vanish. Many High Realm experts were observing the match from a far distance. They were awestruck and appraising Emperor Sea Shark, who looked modest but was actually fierce. Emperor Sea Shark had Feral in a bad situation. All of a sudden, many people in that group of onlookers were hit, and they fell like bouncing rubber balls. A black cluster of souls had swaggered through the crowd and hurled the onlookers at the immortal realm away, creating a chaotic scene. Those who were thrown away were indignant. As they were about to scold or curse, they saw Neptune sit on the cluster of souls. Immediately, they shut their mouths and retreated. Chapter 1460. All Dreadful Devils Come. Chapter 1460. All Dreadful Devils Come. Many surrounding warriors watching the battle wanted to be foul-mouthed when they were swept away by the cluster of souls. However, because they saw Neptune, they didn't dare to say anything despite being indignant. Neptune was like a cluster of black souls hovering in midair. He sat neatly on a cloud of brutal souls and watched the battle between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral with a frown. He snorted and grabbed something. A giant ghostly claw created by his brutal souls grabbed a man at first sky of a mortal realm. The ghostly claw dragged the man to Neptune. Freaked out, he screamed, "Precursor Neptune, I didn't offend you. I always respected and admired the Soul Clan." Shut up," shouted Neptune. That man didn't dare to babble more and just shivered under the ghostly claw. "Why did Emperor Sea Shark and Feral attack each other?" asked Neptune coldly. The man reacted and said, "I don't know. Really, I don't know. They've been fighting when I came. Only the ghosts know why they fight." "Ghosts? I don't like when people mention that word in front of me." Neptune's eyes had the dim and cold light. The massive claw squeezed and the man's body exploded. His blood splashed together with pieces of his flesh. "Get lost. Just at first sky of a mortal realm. Do you think you deserve to watch this battle? You don't treasure your life," scolded Neptune. After the warrior's body burst, his soul altar arose and fled helter-skelter. Neptune looked around. Each warrior in his line of sight ducked instinctively. They were very afraid that he would capture them. Among the territory ancestors of the 7 clans, Neptune was some sort of bipolar. He often attacked people without an excuse. Not many people dared to offend him or guess what he was thinking. They all tried to avoid him to prevent any unwelcome trouble. "Who can tell me why Emperor Sea Shark and Feral are fighting each other?" Neptune raised his voice, which was echoing like a ghost whispering into everybody's ears. They felt their hair rise and shivers send down their spines. At this moment, Emperor Sea Shark and Feral had tried their best to attack each other. The water territory and the thunderbolt territory impacted fiercely, which led to the collapse of the entire sea area. They weren't free to pay attention to anybody else. Of course, they didn't answer Neptune. Neptune looked around and found Tu Chi and his wife in the crowd. His face turned cold as he laughed evilly. "I didn't think that you two would come to the Sea of Annihilation too. You two had joined hands with the others to kill Sing on Dragon Lizard Star, right?" Ruthless light sparked in his eyes. Neptune shouted, "Sing was a member of my soul clan. Although he was just a commander, he had borrowed my soul refining cauldron. He was my subordinate. You killed him. You didn't put me in your eyes, right? I will teach you a lesson instead of Han Tion." As Tu Chi and Yi Yun first saw him, they had tried to sneak away as they were afraid that he would spot him. They couldn't ignore him. The old freak had seen them. Hearing him, Tu Chi and Yi Yun had headaches. They knew that this freak would assault them. However, at this moment, an eccentric, archaic-looking old man appeared. He was lanky and his snow-white hand draped around his shoulder. The people in his way instinctively moved away when he passed through them. They were all scared. Ricardo is here." Ricardo was one of the 3 great territory ancestors of the Sea of Annihilation. He always worked alone. People rumored that he was related to the Black Demon Clan and he cultivated fire power Upanishad. He directly walked to Tu Shirchi and Yiyun. Glancing at Neptune, he said, "Do you think you're a bully when you attack them with your territory ancestor realm?" Pausing for a while, he continued indifferently. "Precursor Han Tian and I have met several times. I hope you will give me face to not attack the two of them." About Singh, he was at the peak of immortal realm. The battle between him and Tu Shirchi was fair. If he lost and died, he can't blame his opponent. Tu Shirchi and Yiyun were surprised. They hadn't expected that Ricardo would protect them. They knew Ricardo had a good friendship with the Black Demon clan, but he didn't have a relationship with the mysterious Sky clan. At the critical moment, Ricardo protected them as instructed by Han Tian a long time ago. He had helped them dodge this culpa. Neptune glared at Ricardo. After a while, he laughed evilly and darkly. "Then I will give you face, Ricardo. I hope that you will give me face when we talk about that thing later." "Well, I don't dare," replied Ricardo. Boom, boom. The lightning continents exploded. Thunderbolts shot out rapidly, mashing Emperor Sea Shark's bubbles into pieces. Emperor Sea Shark was moving between his water worlds, his face ferocious and completely different from his usual, moderate self. His red eyes had a brutal fighting spirit, which surprised many people. Is he really Emperor Sea Shark? Totally different. So powerful. He must be one level stronger than Feral. We're in the Sea of Annihilation, and he cultivates water power Upanishad. Everybody discussed boisterously. Finally, they found that Emperor Sea Shark, the one who wasn't eye-catching, was probably the strongest between the three territory ancestors in the Sea of Annihilation. More warriors congregated, including Ming Hao and the Godlord. They stood quietly in a corner that concealed them within the crowd. They watched the battle between Emperor Sea Shark and Feral, their faces yearning naturally. "Oh, that's what I expected." The Godlord had fighting will and flame in his eyes. He recalled the fierce battle against Bloodthirsty that year. Yeah, they're worth the title territory ancestor. Although they aren't as strong as Bloodthirsty, their auras, yeah, it's not too different. "Okay, I think we can get dark energy to break through to the territory ancestor realm too." Ming Hao wore a nonchalant face. "When we get the right direction, we can do it without too much effort. Perhaps, not long after, the arena of the sea domain of nihility will turn to our amazing page." "Right? I strongly believe it," confirmed the Godlord. More warriors were gathering from many places. The Godlord and Ming Hao didn't look outstanding, so they didn't draw the eyes of the concerned people. After a while, Chiemo of the Devouring clan had brought his crew to this area. As soon as they came, they tried to ask for the reason why Emperor Sea Shark and Feral were fighting. Gradually, everybody all became bewildered. They didn't know why the two territory ancestors were fighting each other. They didn't see Shi Yin or the Power Upanishad symbol tower here. Everybody became concerned and looked around to find a trace. They must know why Emperor Sea Shark and Feral's battle was ignited to know who they should support. At the same time, in the area of Broken Stars, Shi Yin opened his eyes and sensed the commotions sent through sea water. He said, "Emperor Sea Shark and Feral are battling against each other. Emperor Sea Shark treated you well. He provoked Feral, and their battle caught everyone's attention. His purpose is obvious. He wants us to seize the chance and run away," reminded Meiji. Shi Yin nodded, stood up, and said, "I know. That's why I said that I want to go back." Chapter 1461, Lord of All Stars. Chapter 1461, Lord of All Stars. Go back there? Meiji's body was stiff, her face panic-stricken. She screamed hoarsely, "Why do we have to go back there? Emperor Sea Shark is fighting Feral to attract the others and give you a chance to escape. Why would you have to go back there?" "I've just reached second sky of Immortal Realm," explained Shi Yin. "So what?" Meiji was surprised. "Normally, after I reach a new realm, I'm like a lake that was just dug deeper and became larger." "Ah, no, the same thing happens to everybody." Shi Yin rubbed his chin and said darkly, "I need to accumulate god power now. At our immortal realm, accumulating energy is a perpetual and painful process." Meiji nodded gently. She understood it clearly, and she had experienced it before. From second sky to third sky of a mortal realm, it took her almost 1,000 years to accumulate energy. And it didn't include the time needed to advance her power Upanishad. A warrior would reach the point to break through one day after accumulating enough energy. However, it depended on the warrior's condition and encounter to comprehend the power Upanishad. It didn't require only ascetic cultivation. If I don't have a cutting-edge method, I will need hundreds of years to fill the energy required to break through to third sky from second sky of immortal realm. Shi Yin pulled an earnest face and shook his head. I don't like ascetic cultivation, especially when I know the shortcut. If taking risks can shorten a lot of them, I'm willing to bet my life on it. Meiji understood it right away. You want to use the devouring power Upanishad? Shi Yin smiled, right? The devouring power Upanishad can shorten this energy accumulation a lot. The battle between Emperor Sea Shark and Pharaoh will attract so many experts in the Sea of Annihilation. If chaos ensues and hundreds of immortal realm experts are killed, that energy will be enough for me to reach third sky of immortal realm. Meiji's eyes brightened. During this trip, she had observed and enjoyed the benefits given to her from Shi Yan's devouring power Upanishad. Of course, she knew the mysteries of this evil powers. She believed in Shi Yan's words. If hundreds of warriors at the immortal realm died, the dead essence chi from them would brim his god power ancient tree after being refined. Indeed, he didn't need to struggle and cultivate for a long time. They want to find you. If you get back there, it's like stepping into a trap. You will fail Emperor Sea Shark too. Meiji was startled, and she asked suspiciously, Are you confident that you can return safely? She knew that Shi Yin wasn't a fool. He wouldn't do things he wasn't certain of. After I reached second sky of immortal realm, I'm confident that I can always use the space power Upanishad to leave even on the seabed. Shi Yin grinned and said arrogantly, Although Ming Hao's realm is higher than mine, he's just in his soul form. He can't urge his energy to the utmost. Moreover, he can't endure the backfire. What he can't do, I can. A fantasy boundary stone sparkled in the palm of his hand. He sent the god power into the fantasy boundary stone. It inflated like a balloon. After 10 breaths, it became a world. It was a world of misty clouds. As soon as it emerged, it entered the broken star next to them, which normal people couldn't find or sense. This misty world was filled with Shi Yan's space energy and soul consciousness, as if Shi Yan's co-soul was there and controlled his power. The cloudy world created by the fantasy boundary stone is controlled by my space energy, and it has my soul imprint. This world can be here for a while. During this time, I can use my soul connection to hide in it any time and wherever I am on this seabed. Shi Yin smiled and glanced at Meiji. His finger gestured and a space slit flared up. He grabbed Meiji by her hand and jumped into the space slit. After a flash, Shi Yin and Meiji emerged in the misty world inside the broken star. Inside the immense clusters of clouds, Meiji's sleeves flew and made her look like a moon fairy. She raised one hand and covered her mouth. Is it simple like this? Shi Yin smiled. A wisp of space energy flashed. He and Meiji returned to the area outside the rock. Within a certain range in this sea of annihilation, I can enter that misty world in just a blink of an eye. Even experts like Emperor Sea Shark or Pharaoh can never catch me if they don't know. Meiji smiled and admitted that he sounded logical. You have an assurance to leave and not die. But can you ensure that you can leave after you have fished in the troubled water? When the experts at Neptune's level attack you, do you think you can endure one strike from them? Well, I couldn't before, but now it's not a problem. How are you so sure? I'll show you. Shi Yin laughed arrogantly. He shot like a sword to the highest peak of this broken star's area. Shortly after, his body emitted starlight. He looked like a bright star, his eyes projecting so many strange and mysterious scenes of when a star lost its energy. Jets of starlight shot out from his 10 fingers like a galaxy falling on this broken star field, and entered each strange rock. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Magically, the mountain-like rocks slowly levitated. Under the control of the galaxy in his eyes, they floated up to the sky. Hundreds of thousands of rocks arose like imposing mountains, towering the seabed. This scene was so majestic and spectacular. While Shi Yan's power Upanishad changed, the massive rocks began to move and radiate strange starlight. At first glance, it looked like thousands of twinkling stars were moving and showcasing the mysteries of the galaxy. Those rocks came from dozens of complete stars. Although they are all broken, they were intact a long time ago, so they have a connection. The stars also have spirit. They were tamed, somehow. The spirit of those stars isn't like ours. Ordinary warriors can't sense it, but I can vaguely feel something. The massive rock spun. Shi Yan looked pensive and hovered between so many rocks. Broken pieces of stars, from now on, make me your master and I'll bestow you a paradise. A brilliant sea of stars emerged from Shi Yan's head. It was a deep, velvet starry sky of a whole new world. It had stars, moons, and suns moving. Also, on the stars, there was surging vitality and fixation of death. It was his incipient extent. This incipient extent had gradually transformed into a territory due to dark energy. Many rocks in this area had the weak spirit of stars. After Shi Yan had conjured his galaxy incipient extent, the connection between the rocks became stronger and pulled the rocks together. Slowly, tens of thousands of rocks piled up and turned into dozens of brilliant stars. The stars then flew up and entered Shi Yan's incipient extent, becoming cold light dots, parts of the extent. Shi Yan looked thrilled. He placed one hand on his forehead and the other on his chest. He pledged, "Wait until I've reached territory ancestor realm and my incipient extent turns into a territory. It will become a real galaxy. It's where you will stay. You will have creatures thriving on you. You will regain the glory you once had billions of years ago." Dozens of stars replied to him, still very weak. Only the warriors cultivating star power Upanishad could vaguely hear them. Meiji looked at the scene above her head in awe. She watched Shi Yan, who was the lord of all stars and all skies, guiding so many mountain-like rocks to enter his brilliant galaxy incipient extent. She watched him make a pledge and connect subtly with the stars. She couldn't explain the thrill in her heart. Closing his eyes to sense for a while, Shi Yan landed. At this moment, only a massive rock stood by Meiji, which contained the fantasy boundary stone. It was the only thing Shi Yan had left to spare him an exit. He pondered and then said, "Billions of years ago, there were so many floating pieces of broken stars above the sea of annihilation. Someone cultivating star power Upanishad had tamed them and poured his star energy into them to control them and resist his enemies. Afterward, tens of thousands of broken stars had fallen into the sea. Those broken stars had a feeble spirit that only warriors cultivating star power Upanishad could recognize. I didn't know it before. While I was breaking through to second sky of a mortal realm and improving my realm, I vaguely understood it. Finally, I know that all the stars in this universe have the spirit. Some have a strong one and others have an imperceptible, feeble one. It's the sea of annihilation, indeed. Its seabed has strange treasures everywhere. However, not anybody can recognize them. Sometimes, they can't even see the treasure right next to them. Those broken pieces of stars are even stronger than the intact stars in other areas. They have existed for a long, long time. Perhaps they were formed in the absolute beginning era. They know some secrets of earth and heaven. They have their own methods to refine themselves. Their makings are unique. That's why the expert cultivated star power Upanishad noticed them and refined them one more time to make them his weapons. Shi Yan explained to her. Meiji partly understood and intervened. You don't need to give me a detailed explanation. I don't cultivate star power Upanishad. It's hard to understand it thoroughly. I only need to know one thing. After you collect those broken rocks into your incipient extent, does your power increase altogether? Will they be your divine weapon to resist the territory ancestors' attacks? Shi Yan smiled. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it's okay. Meiji was resolute and pulled his shoulder. I'm going back with you. I'll come to the dragon's pond or the tiger's den with you this time. Shi Yan felt warm. He clutched her hands, his eyes complicated. Actually, until now, I don't have a true. Don't say that. Meiji raised her hand and placed a finger on his lips. With a pair of watery eyes, she shook her head. There's something I don't want to hear. Agree with me. Never tell me words that will hurt me. Even if you are lying to me, as long as it's sweet, just tell me. Sure Yin was amazed. Meiji stooped her head. I don't know what happened to me. Perhaps it's the common disease of our phantom clan women. We don't easily fall in love. But once we do, we'll be like a moth heading to a flame. Even though we know we're going to die, we won't regret it. Who knows the future? I can't say if I can survive and go to desolate territory with you. I just hope that while we are together, you will be sweet to me, even if you have to lie to me. Anything is okay. Just don't break my heart. Sure Yin couldn't reply. Sigma underscore. Support me at patreon.com/Sigma. Donate at PayPal. Me/Sigma Salma https://streamlabs.com/Sigma_7. Vote. Let's make top 10 again. Mass release if GOS reach top 10 at the end of the month. Chapter 1462, Free Fight. Chapter 1462, Free Fight, _. Deep in the sea. Silhouettes like gloomy ghosts appeared in every corner of the sea. They looked frightened or excited. Their eyes were fixed on two light domes. The collision between the Thunderbolt territory and the water territory almost shattered the seabed. Many fine space cracks appeared and extended, which many Immortal Realm experts had to move away instinctively. No one knew where those space slits led to. At their realm, they didn't dare to jump in. Neptune and Ricardo wore stern faces and stood in the crowd. They continuously mended those cracks and slits to stabilize the shattering sea area. Rumble. So many lightning continents inside the Thunderbolt territory blasted. Whenever a continent disappeared, Farrell's eyes sparkled. The thick aura in his Thunderbolt territory gradually weakened. Quite the contrary, Emperor Sea Shark became more excited the more he fought. His red eyes and brutal aura were completely different from his regular humble, modest appearance. Many people felt as if it was the first time they knew Emperor Sea Shark. This battle spread Emperor Sea Shark's reputation around the entire sea domain of Nihility. Many years later, warriors talked about this character and his intimidating merit in the Sea of Annihilation. Innumerable water curtains were multiplied in Emperor Sea Shark's water territory and gushed into Farrell's Thunderbolt territory. Water shrouded each lightning ball and squeezed them into powder. Farrell was scared. He finally knew that self-effacing Emperor Sea Shark wasn't a weak expert he could bully. He regretted it now. He shouldn't have provoked him. The Sea of Annihilation is a marvelous place, indeed. Ming Hao and the Godlord were standing far from the battle. Ming Hao's eyes were gloomy as he observed the space cracks around. If this kind of battle takes place in our desolate territory, it will break many star areas. The space can't even endure a battle between the Immortal Realm experts like us. But this seabed just had some small cracks. Ming Hao's attainment in space power Upanishad was extremely profound. He was at the Grandmaster level, indeed. He knew the regular world couldn't endure a confrontation between the real experts. Emperor Sea Shark and Farrell were the territory ancestors. The shockwaves of their battle could make the desolate territory collapse on a large scale. But in here, the seabed had only some small cracks. Ming Hao considered and then said, "It seems like the sea area here can endure the pulling force of space energy without shattering. Unfortunately, my soul form can't endure the backfire of tearing space. Otherwise, we could have tried once." Boom, boom, boom. So many lightning balls exploded and vanished within Farrell's territory. Gradually, his territory was reduced and Farrell had to back off. Shortly after, many lightning balls congregated and created a tremendously terrifying light ball. Farrell roared and thundered inside that light ball. All of a sudden, he tore the ball and flew out. His face twisted in pain. Deep in his eyes, so many lightning pythons were moving. Emperor Sea Shark's eyes were still crimson. He looked shocked before he could resume his sound mind. His eyes moved around as if he was searching for someone in the crowd, his face bewildered. "Feral, what happened?" cried Ricardo. "Emperor Sea Shark called Neptune. I found Shi Yin. I was about to capture him. Emperor Sea Shark had stopped me. I don't know what he thought. He had shooed that kid away," bellowed Feral. So many lightning balls hovering in the water emitted a dazzling light of lightning while he was talking. "Emperor Sea Shark, is it true?" Neptune was surprised. "You've agreed with me to help me find that kid. Is it your right attitude?" Ricardo, Tu Chi, and Chiemo were bewildered. They didn't know the reason, so they turned to Emperor Sea Shark with a questioning face. The blood-red hue in Emperor Sea Shark's eyes remained. It hadn't vanished yet. He still looked puzzled and looked for something in the crowd. A flame ignited. Emperor Sea Shark's eyes suddenly brightened and screamed, "Shunrun!" While Emperor Sea Shark and Feral were fighting, Shunrun had disappeared mysteriously. And now, he reappeared inside that flickering flame. The seashell he hid his body in had so many flames piling up on each other. As soon as he appeared, he said resolutely, "We must go now." Neptune and Ricardo had finally come. He also knew Emperor Sea Shark's plan of fighting Feral for a while to draw people's attention. He was the one who understood Emperor Sea Shark the most. He was like his shadow, in fact. He understood that once Neptune and Ricardo came, they would look for him and force him to tell the reason for the battle. Thus, he had to hide. Before Emperor Sea Shark and Feral parted from the battle, he had to not show himself. And now, it's time to reappear. He needed to remind Emperor Sea Shark that he shouldn't stand against the warriors of the entire Sea of Annihilation alone. Hearing him, Emperor Sea Shark chuckled and nodded. "Right? We should leave. I'm not going to lose myself in this." The clouds of souls appeared by Emperor Sea Shark. Neptune wore a cold and stern face. "Emperor Sea Shark, I think you owe me an explanation." Ricardo also stepped forward and frowned. "I've agreed with someone to capture a kid named Shi Yin. Emperor Sea Shark, I need a proper answer." Tu Chi, Chiemo, and many experts hiding far away also moved closer. They barricaded Emperor Sea Shark. No one had come with a good will. They demanded Emperor Sea Shark to show where Shi Yin had gone. Many smart people got the hint that Emperor Sea Shark had let Shi Yin go from Feral's words. And Emperor Sea Shark had even fought with Feral to seize more time for him and attract the others. They understood that Emperor Sea Shark wanted to protect Shi Yin. They doubted that Shi Yin and Emperor Sea Shark had some secret agreement and his knowledge of where Shi Yin had gone. Emperor Sea Shark released Shi Yin. The Godlord was amazed and shook his head. "I can't believe it. That kid is always weird. Many unbelievable things could happen to him." Ming Hao frowned. "It seems like he left safely." "It's good then." Audrey was approaching from a far distance. Hearing them, she cheered up. "Retreat. Now." Ming Hong screamed from her shoulder. "Forefather Dragon Lizard, Tu Chi, and even that demon Neptune are here. If they find you, it'll be a lot of trouble." Audrey was startled. She immediately reacted and flew away without pausing. However, at this moment, Neptune's eyelid twitched. His deep look pierced through hundreds of warriors and fell on Audrey precisely. He licked his lip and mumbled, "Sing's brutal souls. Interesting. The brutal souls of our clan's commander now benefit someone else." A dozen-meter tall, jet-black brutal soul that looked both like a bear and a lion appeared under Neptune's feet. That brutal soul roared and turned into a band of dim light, shooting toward Audrey. "Not good. That demon has sensed you from such a far distance." Ming Hong felt his scalp numb. He urged, "Leave at your max speed." Audrey paled. As she saw the massive, brutal soul coming, her soul shivered. Her realm was very different from Neptune's. The energy of one of his Neptune's brutal soul wasn't someone she could cope with. Ming Hong also felt restless when the brutal soul came. He was also a brutal soul, but he was refined by Sing. He couldn't resist a brutal soul made by Neptune at the territory ancestor realm. Air? Ming Hao could feel the commotion from the aura he had left on Audrey. He sensed and discolored. His soul form disappeared abruptly. Swoosh! Ming Hao approached Audrey and looked at Neptune's brutal soul. He sneered and grabbed it. A space crack appeared next to him and turned into a strange blade. He grabbed it. Ming Hao rose the blade and slashed. Neptune's brutal soul screeched as it was halved. However, the brutal soul wasn't a real entity. After it was halved, it could still scream and showcase its savagery. Now, its target was Ming Hao. Neptune was numb, and his face was extremely dark. He turned to look at Ming Hao, Ming Hong, and Audrey. Low creatures. You don't know how high the sky is. Dare resist me. Court death. The sea of souls underneath him sent out another brutal soul. It was a green serpent around hundreds of meters long. It had a thick acid aura. The stinky mouth of the snake had so many fangs. It had swallowed some warriors while it slithered on its way. Those victims perished instantly. What? The godlord suddenly recognized that Ming Hao had disappeared while he was watching Emperor Sea Shark and Feral. Turning around, he saw Ming Hao fighting Neptune's brutal soul. He was surprised. Hesitating, he stood still. He didn't want to get involved. Let's go. Shinren seized the opportunity and shouted. Emperor Sea Shark didn't know Audrey, so he wouldn't help her. Seeing that they had caught Neptune's attention, he nodded and released waves to get rid of the crowd. Don't let him escape, shouted Feral. He didn't need to say so as Ricardo, Chiemo, and many onlookers had taken action instinctively. In just a blink of an eye, the seabed became brilliant with so many light curtains, halos, and blocks. The barriers of different energies were cast. The sharp power shot and gashed the seabed. The whole scene was hustling and bustling. The warriors who had the guts to watch the battle between the two territory ancestors had profound realms and cultivation bases. Many of them were related to the seven clans, while some of them were here because of the Power Upanishad symbol tower. Whether it was because of the rewards from the five clans or the Power Upanishad symbol tower, they wanted to know Shi Yan's whereabouts. Thus, they all took action. Emperor Sea Shark, after this battle, no matter how the result turns out, you won't have a decent place to stay in this sea domain of nihility. The members of the Soul Clan, Devouring Clan, Ancient Monster Clan, Black Demon Clan, and Mysterious Sky Clan won't let you go. Their core members were killed, and you released that kid. You have to bear the consequences. Ricardo sighed and spoke emotionally. Chapter 1463, Exposed One by One. Chapter 1463, Exposed One by One _ Billions of colorful flames flew out from Ricardo's body. They arrayed into a natural formation automatically. Those flames weren't afraid of water. They were like countless bright lamps flying toward Emperor Sea Shark. Feral didn't say a word before he took action one more time. The lightning balls were condensed and they fell grumblingly on Emperor Sea Shark. Neptune snorted and raised one hand. 3 brutal souls emerged like giant demons floating in the air, each of them several thousand meters tall. These 3 giant brutal souls were his true lethal attack. Ricardo, Feral, and Neptune took action at the same time to block Emperor Sea Shark. They wanted to figure out Shi Yan's whereabouts from him. To any clan, the Power Upanishad symbol tower was the top treasure that they dreamed for. It was even more precious than an absolute beginning divine weapon. For the Power Upanishad symbol tower, they had ignored the fact that Emperor Sea Shark was also a territory ancestor. Even if they had to destroy the entire Sea of Annihilation, they had to find Shi Yan to get the Power Upanishad symbol tower from him. Audrey. It's Audrey. Yayun screamed in the crowd. 2 Shi and Forefather Dragon Lizard looked at her from a distance. They were surprised as they recognized that Neptune's brutal soul's attack were at Audrey. They knew that after Audrey had parted with them, she would find Shi Yan. Seeing Audrey, they thought Shi Yan was around too. As the others were screaming, 2 Shi, Yayun, and Forefather Dragon Lizard had plunged toward Audrey and left Emperor Sea Shark behind. She has a close relationship with Shi Yan. What do you want to do? Forefather Dragon Lizard asked all of a sudden. 2 Shi and Yayun were hesitant. Pondering for a while, Yayun said, Take her. We can use her to negotiate with Shi Yan, can't we? We can actually help her and save her from being killed by Neptune's brutal souls, said 2 Shi. Forefather Dragon Lizard nodded. It's good then. When they came and were about to take action, they found that Ming Hao had single-handedly stopped two brutal souls released by Neptune. Ming Hao's clones held space sabers and forcefully resisted against two brutal souls. Ming Hao in his soul form flashed and disappeared. Then, another warrior at the immortal realm near him suddenly screamed crazily and attacked Neptune's brutal souls. Forefather Dragon Lizard and the others were awed. How could he occupy the other's soul that quickly? Who is he? He must be an expert cultivating soul control power Upanishad from the Devouring clan. I heard that the experts cultivating soul control power Upanishad could enter the soul of lower realm warriors to distort their minds and enslave them, Tu Shirchi said with a stern face, his eyes strange. I can't relate that little girl Audrey to the Devouring clan. Oh hey, it's not true. The soul form of that expert isn't something that the Devouring clan has mastered. It's somehow similar to the Soul clan. SK. It's complicated. Ye Yun was bewildered. She halted and didn't know what to do. As the soul-controlled chief of the bloodthirsty force, Ming Hao had mastered the power Upanishad of the Imperial Dark Tribe and the supernatural abilities of mind control of the bloodthirsty force. He also had the power of space. After 10,000 years of cultivating and merging the three power Upanishads perfectly, he had reached third sky of immortal realm. As long as he had dark energy, he could enter the territory ancestor realm safely. Today, in the Sea of Annihilation, he had performed his real capacity. Countless cloned souls of his had occupied 15 experts at the immortal realm and enslaved them. He controlled them to take self-destructive attacks to Neptune's brutal souls. It had greatly shocked many people. Even the warriors surrounding Emperor Sea Shark had discolored in fear. They were aghast when they saw Neptune's two brutal souls get destroyed by the exploded souls. Neptune had so many wisps of soul filaments in his head. Several were cut off. He winced and turned to Ming Hao. He shouted, Devouring Clan Soul Control Power Upanishad. Chiemo and the warriors of the Devouring Clan heard Neptune shouting. They were frightened as they turned to look at Ming Hao. He's not a member of our Devouring Clan. Chiemo cultivated Chaos Power Upanishad. Around him was a strange magnetic field that made the water twisted inside so many mirrors, which looked so strange. As he was fighting Emperor Sea Shark, he suddenly recalled something, yelling, He's from Desolate Territory. Desolate Territory? People from Desolate Territory? The territory created by Desolate, the absolute beginning creature. It's so unexpected. Many warriors surrounding screamed in astonishment. Tu Shirchi and Ye Yun exchanged looks. They saw fear in each other's eyes. They knew that Audrey and Shi Yin came from Desolate Territory. Hearing Chiemo exposing Ming Hao's identity, they were startled. They recalled that Han Tian used to tell them about Bloodthirsty. Just like Bloodthirsty, they are lucky ones who receive Devour's inheritance in Desolate Territory. Their understanding of the 8 great, evil powers is more complete than the Devouring clan itself. It's just that their realms are a little low. Tu Shirchi turned to Forefather Dragon Lizard. Many years ago, an expert from Desolate Territory called Bloodthirsty had come to our place. He had risen the bloody rain and killed so many members of the Devouring clan. Our forefather Han Tian used to battle against him. He was defeated. Bloodthirsty had mastered Devouring Power Upanishad and the 8 great evil power Upanishads of the Devouring clan. He was extremely fierce. Precursor Han Tian was defeated. Dragon Lizard was frightened. Precursor Han Tian's one of the great 10 territory ancestors. How intimidating was Bloodthirsty? Shi Yin and Audrey come from Desolate Territory, and so does that expert with the Soul Control Power Upanishad. He has mastered the Soul Control Power Upanishad. Perhaps he's related to Bloodthirsty. It's strange indeed. Tu Shirchi muttered. His eyes suddenly brightened as he looked at Emperor Sea Shark, his face strange. What do you have in mind? Ye Yun exhaled. Do you remember what Forefather Han Tian had told us that year? He said that Emperor Sea Shark used to guide Bloodthirsty on the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation. That Bloodthirsty suddenly appeared on the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation out of nowhere. He didn't know anything and he was curious about everything. He met Emperor Sea Shark when he was still weak and he had forced Emperor Sea Shark to guide him. Yeah, I remember Forefather Han Tian telling us about that. However, Bloodthirsty had disappeared for a long time. I didn't really think about it. What do you mean? Why does Emperor Sea Shark suddenly want to protect Shi Yin? Only the ghosts know. Perhaps it's related to Bloodthirsty. You mean Emperor Sea Shark knows that Shi Yin and Bloodthirsty are related, and he is protecting Shi Yin because of this relationship? I'm just guessing. Forefather Dragon Lizard listened to Tu Shi and Ye Yun's conservation. He was bewildered and fearful. Seeing Ming Hao move around and seize the souls of many experts to detonate Neptune's brutal soul, his scalp felt numb. That man is really strong. Even if my true body is here, I'm not sure if I can match him. People from desolate territory? Chiamo suddenly cried and ignored Emperor Sea Shark. He stormed toward Ming Hao. Tell me the location of the entrance to desolate territory and I'll spare your life. Our devouring clan wants to go to desolate territory to find our ancestors' inheritance. The devouring clan warriors aimed at Ming Hao under Chiamo's direction. Legends say that Desolate had battled against Devour and it was broken into several pieces. If we can enter desolate territory and swallow Desolate's parts, we'll reach a level that no one could imagine. We will know the secrets of Absolute Beginning Era and the principles of Power Upanishads. I heard that Desolate still has 2 Absolute Beginning Divine weapons. If we enter desolate territory, we will be filthy rich. Of course, many people screamed and cried. They were stirred up. When they looked at Ming Hao, they were like hungry men looking at a naked beauty with bright eyes. Desolate Territory's resident. He's also from Desolate Territory. Emperor Sea Shark screamed inwardly. He used to accompany Bloodthirsty for a while, so he knew Bloodthirsty came from Desolate Territory. From Ming Hao's soul control power Upanishad, he guessed that Ming Hao had a close relationship with Bloodthirsty too. Emperor Sea Shark wanted to leave, but he became hesitant all of a sudden. He wanted to grab Ming Hao and ask for more details. While he was terrified, Ricardo and Farrell attacked him more furiously. The others who were fishing in troubled water also tried their best attacks. The entire place was filled with blast, fire, ice, and crystals. The pressure had almost shattered the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation. Ricardo's fire territory had evaporated the water and emptied the area. After fighting fiercely for a long time against Farrell, Emperor Sea Shark wasn't in a good condition. He was struck. Countless bubbles in his water territory erupted. Emperor Sea Shark's eyelids twitched, his face pale. He tried to swallow the blood that had churned in his throat. We don't care if they're related to our benefactor. We must leave first. We can't handle that much. When Shan Tin saw Emperor Sea Shark's strange expression, he knew that it wasn't going well. He screamed hastily. He continually released a fire shield in front of Emperor Sea Shark's water territory. However, Ricardo's fire, which was more profound than his, had stopped him. He was hit, and his energy was quickly drained. Emperor Sea Shark, I don't want to go against you. I need you to tell me Shi Yan's whereabouts. What I want is the Power Upanishad symbol tower. I don't need your life, Emperor Sea Shark. Ricardo was calm, flames rolling on his body like layers of armor. Billions of flames swarmed toward Emperor Sea Shark and the seawater evaporated, creating a vacuum area on the seabed. Farrell grinned fiendishly in that vacuum area and entangled Emperor Sea Shark with his exploding lightning balls. Ricardo, you joined Farrell, but you guys can't stop me. Do you believe that? Emperor Sea Shark's eyes turned crimson once again. Ricardo was bewildered and looked troubled too. If you want to risk your life, Farrell and I can't stop you. But I'm sure you know the price that you will have to pay. If I support Ricardo and Farrell, will you leave easily as you said? Neptune intervened. The 3 brutal souls hadn't moved. However, his other 2 souls were shattered when Ming Hao used his soul control power Upanishad to force his slaves to detonate their soul altars. Neptune didn't attack further because he had to save some tricks. He pitched his voice and bellowed, Ba-di. An average-looking human warrior in the crowd suddenly shrank until he was around 1 meter tall. He was an ominous and extremely ugly dwarf. He had a green-brown face with spooky green eyes. He suddenly flew toward Audrey and Ming Hao. Forefather Earth Ghoul. Forefather Dragon Lizard and Tu Chi screamed at the same time. The three of them had suffered from that earth ghoul. Seeing him, they were indignant and frightened. Their eyes turned red when they saw their archenemy. Chapter 1464. Return. Chapter 1464. Return. In this sea of annihilation, Forefather Ba-Di of the Earth Ghoul tribe was infamous. He was the current chief of the Earth Ghoul tribe. He had made his tribe thrive from a small tribe to a second-class one. Ba-Di had used his personal power to grow an entire Earth Ghoul tribe. He was mighty and treacherous. Long time ago, he was just an ordinary warrior of the Earth Ghoul tribe with a pathetically low realm. However, he had encountered an expert of the Soul Clan who was traveling around. He had tried his best to serve him and become his dog for thousands of years. Eventually, that man reached the territory ancestor realm, and he was like a boat rising with the rising tide. Ba-Di had used his loyalty to gain approval from the Soul Clan. After Serene Prison, the one he had served, had reached the territory ancestor realm, he had imparted Ba-Di the power Upanishad of the Soul Clan. No one had thought that Ba-Di could cultivate decently. Anyway, Ba-Di had used the low-level power Upanishad of the Soul Clan bestowed by Serene Prison to thrive quickly. He had suddenly accelerated, and he had made progress much faster than many experts of the Soul Clan. However, after he had reached the peak of Immortal Realm, he got stuck. The Soul Clan also appreciated Ba-Di. They were surprised at his outstanding performance. Under Serene Prison's protection, Forefather Earth Ghoul had imparted the power Upanishad to the other members of Earth Ghoul tribe. He had strengthened his fellows and made his clan strong enough to rival the Dragon Lizard clan. After many years, Serene Prison had become the high-echelon expert of the Soul Clan, one of 10 great territory ancestors in the sea domain of nihility. His subordinate, Forefather Earth Ghoul, also had a high position. As the chief of Earth Ghoul tribe, he had made his clan outstanding among the other vassals of the Soul Clan. Today, Ba-Di was hiding in the Sea of Annihilation's seabed like a ghost. Also, he had responded to Neptune's call. Ba-Di was short and ugly like a dwarf. After Neptune had called him, he swayed several times to reach Ming Hao. "Mwahaha, interesting. Come and possess my soul, will you?" he screamed. Wisps of ghostly mist that emitted from his back were carrying resentful souls and becoming a stinky tongue. The tongue moved, coiling and drawing one of Ming Hao's clones. An extreme, resentful aura shot out from that tongue, which froze Ming Hao's clone. Each of Ming Hao's clones was frightened, as if they were also coiled by the tongue. They turned to face Forefather Earth Ghoul. "This freak is getting stronger. Even if my true body comes, I'm not sure if I can catch him," Dragon Lizard observed, his face stern. "I can't deny that this Ba-Di is really good at cultivating evil techniques. He's such a rare talent who can cultivate a low-level power Upanishad of the Soul Clan to this level. He has followed a good master. Serene Prison is one of the great 10 territory ancestors. His echelon is higher than Neptune's in the Soul Clan. Serene Prison has the right to read all the records of profound techniques and power Upanishads of the Soul Clan. He has cared about Ba-Di enough to teach him the meaning of power." Tu Chi also wore a heavy countenance. If Ba-Di hadn't helped Sing, how could he have wounded us? From some aspect, Ba-Di is tougher than Sing. He has served Serene Prison for many years. He had the chance to contact many experts. Sing can't compare to him in terms of knowledge and vision. "Old man, what should we do?" Yuyun gritted her teeth. "Wait. We should wait for a while. When Neptune is busy, we'll attack Ba-Di. This midget used to ambush us near Dragon Lizard Star. We must repay his favor," said Tu Chi resolutely. Yuyun's eyes brightened. Boom, boom. Thunder continued to boom. The burning flames swarmed toward Emperor Sea Shark. 3 majestic, brutal souls with many limbs were roaring, howling, and tearing Emperor Sea Shark's water curtain. Emperor Sea Shark looked exhausted, but his eyes were still fearfully red. He was about to fall into insanity. "You should never lose your mind. We must try our best to get out of here," Shinren calmly reminded him outside his water territory. He had to prevent Emperor Sea Shark from falling into frantic bewilderment. It was the reason why he persistently stayed. Many years ago, when Bloodthirsty taught Emperor Sea Shark the Rampage technique, he had advised that this power was going to be very harmful to him since he didn't cultivate one of the 8 great, evil power Upanishads. Emperor Sea Shark had to only use it to save his life at a critical moment. Bloodthirsty also said that this power required life energy to activate, which would make the user fall into bedevilment easily. If his mind wasn't firm enough, he was going to turn into a killing machine that only stopped after it used the last beam of God power. And when it stopped, death was going to come. Shenrun was there. He had listened to Bloodthirsty clearly. Emperor Sea Shark had used this power to defeat many experts. Shenren had observed and he understood the advantages and disadvantages of this power deeply. Emperor Sea Shark, you can't escape, shouted Feral crazily. The rolling lightning strikes connected earth and heaven. They grumblingly descended and made the entire place a field of lighting bolts, stringing and breaking around. Emperor Sea Shark was shaken. So many bubbles and water curtains in his water territory shattered. He couldn't stop blood from churning in his throat. At this moment, dark blood appeared on his abdomen. When he saw blood, Emperor Sea Shark became wilder. It had triggered his brutal nature and made his aura more frantic. He couldn't hear Shenren's voice anymore. Shenren watched him, his face grimaced and his heart sinking. He knew what he worried the most about had happened. He couldn't stop it. Emperor Sea Shark has fallen into bedevilment. The energy fluctuations from the battle are fierce and powerful. Although we're very far from them, the water current has become turbulent. I'm sure the battle is very furious. Meiji's beautiful eyes were full of surprise. She began to worry because of Shi Yan's decision. She guessed that Emperor Sea Shark's battle over there was really chaotic. Inside the Starlight Cage, Shi Yan was still calm. Audrey and the others are there too. How do you know that? Audrey and the God Lord have fused with the clone souls of Desolate. They all have a subtle connection with my co-soul. As long as they aren't too far from me, we can detect each other. They are over there. Really marvelous. Shi Yan and Meiji were talking while the Starlight Cage zoomed over like a fast meteor. It flashed and disappeared on the seabed. Boom! A red-orange jet of light shot over and hit their starlight protection. The Starlight Cage bloomed with beautiful light. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. The aura of Immortal Realm experts. Oh, yeah. All of them are at Immortal Realm. Interesting. If more die, my God power will be filled abundantly. With the premise that we can leave alive. You must pay attention. Meiji smiled and reminded him. Don't worry. If I dare to come back, of course, I can leave safely. Shi Yan guffawed, his large hand slapping Meiji's beautiful, ample bosom. We can only seek for wealth in danger. I've created miracles lately because I always wander around chaotic areas. Wherever I go, even if it's calm and peaceful, I will stir it up and start a bloody rain. Only blood and death creates me. A miracle. Haha, the Sea of Annihilation is a good place to train me. We're going there to earn more energy to fill our God power. Meiji was charmed by his hand that was rubbing her rear end and his powerful voice. She lewdly shook her beautiful buttocks. She proactively pressed her voluptuous breasts against his arm and smiled charmingly. I'm waiting for you to give me more energy. You little slut. Shi Yan was aroused. He couldn't help but curse smilingly. I'll feed you well. With you, I'm willing to die. Meiji raised her succulent lips to meet his passionately. She hated that she couldn't merge her body with his body. Don't worry. I'm going to let you die several times. But it's not the death that you mentioned, Shi Yan said through his gritted teeth. I'm yearning desperately, smiled Meiji. Sizzle, sizzle. Ming Hao's clones turned into many gray jets of airs. Another clone was destroyed. Mwahaha. Not bad. Not bad. The Devouring Clan's soul control power Upanishad is really subtle. But you're not dealing with only me. You can't run away. Forefather Earth Ghoulba grinned. Chaotic magnetic field. Chiamo shouted coldly. Dozens of clones of Ming Hao suddenly twisted as if someone had grabbed them and forcefully deformed them. They flickered as if they were about to vanish. The members of the devouring clan under his command also attacked Ming Hao's clones fiercely. After Ming Hao had forced many warriors to self-detonate to attack Neptune's brutal souls, the other weak warriors ran away to prevent Ming Hao from using them. Thus, Ming Hao could only use his clones to fight. However, the clones were just clones. He couldn't gain the upper hand in a fight against an expert at the same realm. Soul-controlled Chief Ming Hao looked weak under the besiege of Neptune's brutal souls, forefather Earth Ghoul Ba Di, and Chimo's team. However, his performance had surprised the warriors of the Sea of Annihilation. Ming Hao was at third sky of Immortal Realm, and he hadn't reached the peak level yet. However, he had wounded 2 brutal souls and forcefully resisted Ba Di at the peak of Immortal Realm and Chimo's team. This man's intimidation was unimaginable indeed. How could warriors from desolate territory be so fierce? Desolate territory is just a territory. How do they have such a formidable expert? It's the territory that Desolate had created. It's really archaic. It should be magical anyway. It's incredible. If we can find Desolate territory and refine Desolate's detached body parts, we will enter the territory ancestor realm instantly. We will even become one of the 10 great territory ancestors. I think so. The onlookers discussed boisterously. They were frightened when they saw Ming Hao's performance. They recognized that the warriors from Desolate territory were very fierce and not weaker than experts in their Sea of Annihilation. Chapter 1465. Wage War Everywhere. Chapter 1465. Wage War Everywhere. _Godflame sets a prairie ablaze. Ricardo's host soul arose from his territory as a god of fire shooting flames everywhere. Those flames had many colors. They were scorching and fiery with the yang power. They burned Emperor Sea Shark's water curtains. A soul flame changed inside that fire territory. Many wisps of soul consciousness mixed with dark energy were sprayed everywhere. The entire sky was covered with a rain of fire. Fire shrouded the area and flaming fluids flooded Emperor Sea Shark's territory. Take the chance when he's perplexed to drain his life energy? Farrell sneered. So many lightning balls as big as mountains were swirling and sending out broken, shattering waves of energy. Neptune snorted. 3 brutal souls were like an eternal demogorgon that roared and tore a water curtain. They ripped through Emperor Sea Shark's water territory. Emperor Sea Shark spurted blood as he was exhausted. Shinran stood by him, shouting and trying to stop him. Do you think you are qualified to interrupt a battle between territory ancestors? Get lost. Farrell sneered and squeezed his fist. Thunder reverberated and lightning bolts fell. Boom, boom, boom. Shenren's body was wounded and bleeding badly when he was kicked out of Emperor Sea Shark's water territory. His eyes turned blank. No. Emperor Sea Shark shrieked, his voice echoing through the entire Sea of Annihilation. Countless crystal-clear drops like tears fell from his eyes. Those water drops looked like they were made of crystal. After each drop fell into the sea, the water pressure increased dozens of times. Boop, boop, boop. Many low-realm warriors couldn't endure the formidable water pressure, and their bodies exploded. Soul altars flew out of their shattered bodies. The souls hovering on the soul altars were aghast, wailing and screeching as they saw the bloody mess of their bodies. Their voices were like sounds of crying ghosts, which raised the hair on people's napes. Most of them were at first sky of Immortal Realm, or had just entered the Immortal Realm. Their realms weren't stable yet. Go. Ming Hong, the brutal soul, had covered Audrey to protect her from the pressure and pulled her out of here. Brian, screamed Ming Hao. While screaming, 12 of Ming Hao's clones exploded. Forefather Earthghoul and Chimo had destroyed them. Not far from them, the God Lord crossed his hands in front of his chest, watching and doing nothing. At this moment, as the God Lord heard Ming Hao's call, he didn't look like he was willing to respond. He hesitated when he had to look from the battle between Emperor Sea Shark, Farrell, Neptune, and Ricardo. He closed his eyes, and when he opened his eyes again, pure and holy light bloomed. The God Lord was like the bright moon in the velvet, starry sky. Stepping on a light road, he grabbed Chiemo. The powers of 5 elements turned into a holy, 5-colored light curtain, which covered Chiemo. The God Lord wore a cold face and said faintly, Chaos Power Upanishad. Aha. Gru also cultivated Chaos Power Upanishad. He died tragically anyway. You're not as strong as Gru. If Gru was still alive, he would be stronger than you now. Gru was the chief of Chaos Force who had imparted the power Upanishad to Ka-Tua. He had been confined in the God-burying land for many years before he was killed in the battle against the 4 great heavenly kings. Gru was also at the immortal realm, but his realm wasn't as high as Chiemo. Anyway, Gru was really powerful and he had endless potential. If the God Lord hadn't plotted against him, Gru wouldn't have been dead. Gru was also a member of the God Clan. As the God Lord had fused with the origin of ancient God continent, he had power over Gru. Because of him, the 4 great heavenly kings could kill Gru. Bang! At the peak of Immortal Realm, Chiemo's chaotic magnetic field was covered inside the 5-colored halo. It was exploding. Another expert from Desolate Territory. Warriors from Desolate Territory are fierce. Gosh, are we doing something wrong here? This man is also at the Immortal Realm with 5 elements power and the Light Power Upanishad. He's really awesome. Fierce. The God Lord Brian's performance sparked more discussion and showed the toughness of the warriors from Desolate Territory. They didn't know that Ming Hao and Brian were peerless experts in Desolate Territory. They were the 2 strongest experts of the entire Desolate Territory. They could make people awestruck. It was enough to prove how hard they had worked and exerted themselves in tens of thousands of years. The chaotic magnetic field shattered. Chiemo was scared. He and his troops from the Devouring Clan changed their target. Now, they all aimed at the God Lord. Ming Hao could relax a little bit. He just needed to deal with Forefather Earthghoul Ba-Di and Neptune's 2 brutal souls. Apparently, his situation stabilized. Quite the contrary, Emperor Sea Shark was besieged by 3 territory ancestors. Gradually, he was pushed to a disadvantaged situation. Emperor Sea Shark was frantic, and he couldn't leave. He was worn out indeed. Warriors from Desolate Territory. Interesting. It seems like we need to take care of them well, Farrell sneered. Inside the Thunderbolt territory above his head, a massive lightning net was created and it snatched down. It didn't even attempt to avoid Chiemo and Ba-Di. Ba-Di and Chiemo left immediately when the situation went wrong. As the lightning net didn't aim at them, it still lowered. Sizzle. Sizzle. Ming Hao's soul clones vanished when the lightning net touched them. Even the God Lord Brian had to change his countenance. When the massive lightning net caught them, his brilliant, holy halo was pressed. He felt suddenly powerless. The lightning struck his soul altar grumblingly, and his soul consciousness was damaged. Cough, cough. The God Lord coughed hard and blood gushed out of his mouth, his face pale. Ming Hao, you and I haven't reached the territory ancestor realm. Otherwise, we would have vandalized this sea of annihilation. It's really unfortunate that even at the last moment, we haven't seen the threshold to territory ancestor realm. I'm dissatisfied. I'm also dissatisfied. Flows of Ming Hao's soul gathered and turned into a massive shadow. Even if my soul vanishes, I have to show them how fierce and malicious warriors of the desolate territory are. You want to use the forbidden space power? The God Lord was surprised and bitter. Your soul will vanish. The seabed is different from other areas. The backfire when the space entry collides with water pressure is enough to destroy your soul altar. You can't endure it. I have to try anyway, Ming Hao said sorrowfully. Swish, swish, swish. Space cracks and slits expanded in this area and moved like slithering snakes. A flow of strange aura extended from Ming Hao's body. Erg! Ming Hao faced the sky and screamed. His ghostly body seemed to become a shattered mirror reflecting so many broken worlds. Swoosh, swoosh. The space cracks undersea were like open wounds that were torn further apart. The rapid current flood from outer space was visible like a brutal demon opening his mouth to swallow everything. This incident made Neptune pale. He looked and shouted, Space Power Upanishad at third sky of Immortal Realm. A brutal soul that looked like a beast in the immemorial epic with green faces and yellow fangs appeared. His body was as big as a mountain. His arms were like a sky supported by pillars that pounded on Ming Hao. Ming Hao was like a shattered mirror that cracked. He couldn't resist the massive fists pounded on him, and he collapsed. Just a wisp of a soul. He dares use the forbidden space energy on this seabed. He doesn't treasure his life, indeed. Do you think your soul form can endure the backfire? Smirked Neptune. Ming Hao. Brian hissed, his eyes complicated. If this soul is your real body, you will. As soon as he was about to let the word died slip out of his mouth, he was surprised to see Ming Hao's vanishing soul. That soul was wriggling like a cutworm. Under some magical power, pieces of his soul were gathering and gluing to each other. Shortly after, Ming Hao congregated in a distorted way. Boom, boom, boom. A strange life energy, which was powerful and immense, emitted from Ming Hao's soul. A flow of vitality ignited his life magnetic field once again. At the same time, dozens of bright crystals appeared above their heads. Those crystals had different shapes that looked like rhombuses, cones, eggs, and cubes in many different colors. They were moving grumblingly like a shaking galaxy that shot meteors. Each of the meteors was like an edged sword. They seemed to have a soul consciousness, as if they could find lives on their own to attack. Ming Hao's forbidden space technique paused magically. The space cracks didn't expand anymore. Strange sharp space wheels were created at areas where space was about to shatter. They moved around wildly and harvested lives. A brilliant starlight cage appeared amid those crystals, which was very eye-catching. They lifted their heads to see and screamed in fear. That's him. The warrior that the 5 clans want. Shi Yin. It's Shi Yin. He dares to come here. The crowd was boiling. Ming Hao was thrilled. A flow of immense vitality was sent to his soul, and it healed his collapsing soul magnetic field. He was formed again. Lifting his head to look at Shi Yin, he was shaken. At a glimpse of time, he thought he saw bloodthirsty. Emperor Sea Shark doesn't look good. If he can't wake up, he can't leave alive, reminded Meiji. Inside the light cage, Shi Yin pulled himself together. After first glance, he saw Emperor Sea Shark covered in blood and was surprised. What Emperor Sea Shark was going through at the moment were the side effects of Rampage. As he didn't cultivate devouring power Upanishad and his acupuncture points didn't contain negative energy, he was burning his life energy to stimulate his rampage. Thus, it was hard for him to recover. Looking at Emperor Sea Shark, Ming Hao, and the Godlord, Shi Yin didn't say a word while continuing to use his star power Upanishad. Dozens of crystals around him moved and slowly arrayed into the shape of a big bear. The bear observed the area and then opened its mouth, spraying a cold breath. It was the cold energy from the meteors on dozens of crystals. The wisp of cold energy was like a cool stream that ran directly to Emperor Sea Shark's crown of the head. Boom! Emperor Sea Shark got hit by the cold energy and sank. However, the frenzious will in his eyes gradually vanished. He was finally awakened. Chapter 1466, Are You Still Sleepy? Chapter 1466, Are You Still Sleepy? Underscore deep under the sea. So many stars were moving and illuminating the seabed. Shi Yin stood between the stars and starlight twirled around him like a waterfall. The stars gathered and created a massive silver bear, which then spurted a stream of cold energy. Emperor Sea Shark was hit, and he sank deeper. When he could steady his body, he looked mindful of the situation. What's that? Meiji was surprised, and she observed the big bear made of dozens of crystals, her beautiful eyes frightened. She could feel an aura of something from the isolated absolute beginning era. That aura was special and cold. That massive bear was the essence of the stars. It looked so real, and it glowed in a silver halo. The bear created by dozens of stars almost shaded the sky in the Sea of Annihilation seabed. It's the little bear. Constellation power. At second sky of a mortal realm, Shi Yan's star power Upanishad was greatly advanced. He had gathered the broken stars and stashed them in his incipient extent. Afterward, he figured out that they were actually a constellation above the Sea of Annihilation. The constellation consisted of many bright stars, and they were related to each other. The stars with the spirit can connect to each other after staying together for billions of years. The spirit or the soul of those stars can blend with each other magically to create the mysterious power of the entire constellation. The Little Bear constellation was created by the souls of dozens of stars. It was the combination of the stars' souls. A surging beam of starlight from it had awakened Emperor Sea Shark. Emperor Sea Shark started smiling. He lifted his head and looked at Shi Yin. He snarled, "Why did you return?" Shi Yin frowned and didn't look at him. The black hole emerged from behind his head. The demon's mouth opened and sucked. Instantly, so many souls shrieked and screeched. The warriors who had only soul altars left after Emperor Sea Shark's attack were so frightened. The water pressure that had increased dozens of times burst, and their soul altars were left floating in the deep sea. They were observing a battle to gain something. However, as soon as a black hole emerged, they completely collapsed. They screeched and tried to run away. Unfortunately, it was too late. No matter how hard they struggled, their soul altars couldn't get rid of the black hole's suction force. They revolved and were dragged into Shi Yan's black hole. The sinister black hole stirred and swallowed soul altars while releasing a fierce soul energy fluctuation. Many people in this area were shaking in fear, including Neptune's brutal souls. Devouring Power Upanishad was the nemesis of the ghosts or things in soul form. After the black hole emerged, the three brutal souls that were like imposing mountains were now shivering like kittens by Neptune. The two brutal souls fighting with Ming Hao were feeble as if they were the willow catkins that were about to vanish. Shi Yin observed Neptune's brutal souls. He understood it immediately. If his devouring power Upanishad reached a certain level, he could subdue the brutal souls of the Soul Clan. He could even swallow those brutal souls as he swallowed the soul altars. As Ming Hao is also a soul form, he didn't feel well when a black hole appeared. But with his soul control power Upanishad and space power Upanishad, he could adjust his condition shortly after. He sealed himself in a small, private space to avoid the devouring power Upanishad. Devouring power Upanishad. It's the exclusive secret of the Devouring Clan. Devouring Power Upanishad. But they said that the Devouring Clan didn't have any warrior cultivating Devouring Power Upanishad? How could he know that? Gosh, the Devouring Power Upanishad comes back. The warriors of the Sea of Annihilation were panic-stricken. They screamed and their faces were ugly. Chiemo and the Devouring Clan warriors had the worst grimace. Looking at Shi Yin used the devouring power Upanishad of their clan to swallow so many soul altars, they felt their hearts bleed. Their eyes flared with the flame of anger. This devouring power Upanishad belonged to their ancestor, but now, even the direct descendants couldn't even use it. This damn kid was using it to slaughter them now. It's our devouring clan's exclusive power Upanishad. Chiemo screamed indignantly like an enraged beast. The twisted, chaotic magnetic field emitted from him and attacked Shi Yin furiously. Pathetic. Meiji smiled like hundreds of flowers blooming. Her graceful body danced and so many icicles shot from the sky that hit Chiemo. Chiemo's body became a mess of blood and flesh. Why did Meiji become so fierce? They said that she's hurt severely, didn't they? The warriors from the Devouring Clan under Chiemo's command screamed. They couldn't believe it either. Just like Chiemo, they stormed and advanced toward Meiji and Shi Yin. Constellation power. Shi Yin smiled and stooped his body. The big silver bear acted exactly like him. It stooped and pounded its furry fist on the prey underneath. The big furry fist brought starlight bands in the sky and fell on Chiemo and the warriors of the Devouring Clan. Boop, boop, boop. Except for Chiemo, the Devouring Clan warriors were smashed like watermelons. Their bones became bone dust. Chiemo's body was crushed. In his last moment, he used the chaotic energy to stir his soul altar and attacked Shi Yin once more time. Tu Shi, Ya Yun, and Forefather Dragon Lizard were watching the battle. They gawked and even the God Lord and Ming Hao had to smack their tongue. They screamed, and appraised the abnormal kid. Some warriors in Chimo's crew had even reached second sky of Immortal Realm, but they couldn't resist the bear's big fists. At the peak of Immortal Realm, Chimo's body had been blasted off under the bear's fists. They were very strong. They didn't know that Yan's body, power, realm, and power Upanishads had leaped up after he had parted from them. While killing around the Sea of Annihilation seabed, Yan had gained benefits beyond their understanding. His body and power had strengthened greatly. He entered second sky of Immortal Realm with a new understanding of star power Upanishad in addition to the Little Bear constellation. At this moment, Yan was at the peak of his life. He was a true god of slaughter that descended to this world. Using chaos power Upanishad to deal with me? Yan grinned when he saw Chimo storming toward him. Are you still sleepy? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The black hole above Yan's head looked like a terrifying whirlpool with a powerful suction force that was increasing as if it could suck all things in this world. The big silver bear by Yan also felt the danger. It instinctively ducked. Billions of years ago, the absolute beginning creature devourer had used this power Upanishad to swallow so many stars and refine star energy, making it a part of his own energy to transform. The stars could feel the evil features of the devouring power Upanishad, and they knew that it could dissolve them. The chaos power Upanishad was one of the 8 great, evil power Upanishad from Devour. They were naturally bound to devouring power Upanishad. Chimo had used the power of his blood and flesh to urge the soul altar. Yan was correct. He was still sleepy. Not good. Chimo doesn't know the danger. The devouring clan has lost the power Upanishad for a long time. They forgot the bond between the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers. This man courts death. Many onlookers were screaming. Chimo suddenly screamed desperately. The black hole arose and his chaos power Upanishad stopped listening to him. The suction force had pulled him into the black whirlpool. As Chimo saw the fatal situation, he made up his mind. While screaming crazily, his body exploded and he became a flesh bomb that attacked the other. His soul altar tried to run away when his body exploded. He had attempted to get rid of the devouring power Upanishad. In that moment, he finally believed in his precursors that the devouring power Upanishad could subdue the 8 evil powers. He was totally convinced. However, it was too late. Do you know how Gonfu died? Yan faced the sky and smiled crazily, his laughter reverberating in the entire Sea of Annihilation. She died foolishly like you. She wanted to use the corrosion power Upanishad to kill me, an expert with devouring power Upanishad. She died because of that. Well, just like her, you will never escape. Boom. Chimo was shaken. As he was about to run away, Yan's words had struck him. Finally, he had lost his mind completely. He howled like a beast and his soul altar burned. All the warriors in this area saw the burning soul altar storm toward Yan and attempt to drag him into hell altogether. Yan, watch out. Meiji screamed. Don't swallow the soul altar that is burning vitality. It'll create trouble. Ming Hao also reminded. Yan was surprised. Then, he sneered, you can't do anything. A fantasy boundary stone arose in front of his chest and created a misty world. Chimo's burning soul altar flew into the world created by the fantasy boundary stone. Boom! Chimo's soul altar exploded. The world inside the fantasy boundary stone exploded into pieces. When the fantasy boundary stone exploded, Yan's body had hundreds of cuts on his body, most of them deep to the bone. His face also bore many cuts and was bleeding terribly. Chimo was gone. He had burned his soul altar to kill Yan, but all he could do was to destroy one of Yan's fantasy boundary stones. However, the fantasy boundary stone was pumped by Yan's god power and power Upanishad. When it shattered, it also backfired at Yan and wounded him. Yan was bleeding. He smacked his tongue as he was a little scared. At the 3rd sky of Immortal Realm, the power when Chimo's soul altar burst off was really terrifying. Yan had reacted timely and released the fantasy boundary stone. Otherwise, Chimo's self-detonation would have made him a puddle of blood. Chimo and his crew from the devouring clan were killed tragically. Shurien hovered by the big silver bear and looked like he had endured hundreds of gashes. His face was also gory, which sent shivers down people's spines. Shurien grinned eccentrically as people were watching him. His laughter made people shiver in fear. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.